The campus beauty wears an ugly hat to school every day, but she never takes it off. Just because I gave it to her 7 years ago. She said she'd wear it forever, until there's no room for him in my heart. But on the day I loved her the most, she always sought thrills, secretly holding an umbrella for a junior she met 3 days ago in the rain. Just when she thought she was hiding it well. Photos and videos of them hugging in the rain. And kissing spread all over Hua University. So the next morning, she got bombarded with calls from her friend. Mo Yao yelled on the phone, "Bai Ningbing, you're such a jerk." Bai Ningbing was clearly stunned. Mo Yao continued scolding. Fang Yuan is such a good person. You don't cherish him, and you mess around with another man. Are you out of your mind? Bai Ningbing got chewed out by a Mo Yao. Before catching the key point, anxiety instantly surged in her heart. She stood up abruptly. What do you mean? Explain clearly, Mo Yao snorted. I'm asking you, where are you now? Bai Ningbing was about to answer, but suddenly remembered she was at the hospital with Fang Zhang, so she stopped mid-sentence. Mo Yao clearly knew why she didn't answer, and got even angrier. Are you still at the hospital with that Fang Zhang? Don't you know that on the campus network, your photos and videos are all over the place? Boom. Bai Ningbing's head felt like it was hit by a hammer. Only then did she remember she promised to pick up Fang Yuan, but after sending Fang Zhang to the hospital, she got busy, and forgot. She frantically hung up on Mo Yao, unlocked her phone, and saw countless missed calls pop up. Most of those missed calls were from Fang Yuan. At that moment, Bai Ningbing's heart felt like it was being squeezed. She quickly opened her chat with Fang Yuan, about to call and explain, but her hand was grabbed by Fang Zhang. Fang Zhang had heard most of Mo Yao's words, and knew what happened yesterday. Everyone who needed to know already knew. But what's wrong with liking someone, even if I used some tricks? So what? He tightly held Bai Ningbing's hand, pleading, don't go. Don't leave me alone in the hospital. Fang Zhang, stop it. Bai Ningbing shook her head, her eyes full of panic. A nurse will be here soon. Take care of yourself. With that, Bai Ningbing turned to leave, but Fang Zhang chased after her from the hospital bed, tripping over a chair and falling to the floor. Bai Ningbing, who had just stepped out of the ward, paused. Fang Zhang behind her started crying. Ebbing, it hurts so much. Please don't go. Don't leave me alone. My mom died in the hospital. I'm so scared. His voice was full of helplessness and fear, as if only Bai Ningbing could give him support. But reason told Bai Ningbing that if she didn't arrive at the place Fang Yuan sent on time, Fang Yuan would be very angry. However, a flash of memory of Fang Yuan carrying her out of a fire years ago calmed Bai Ningbing's anxious heart. No, Fang Yuan loves me so much. How could he not give me a chance over something this small? After all, Fang Yuan once rushed into a fire for me. Time passed bit by bit. I looked at the empty seat in front of me. 10 minutes, then another 10. Bai Ningbing still hadn't shown up, and now, an hour had passed since our agreed time. Disappointed? Probably, but not too disappointed. It was like a multiple choice question. I already knew the answer, so I wasn't surprised. I had planned to break up in person, but I couldn't even get that clean goodbye. I lowered my head and posted what I'd written to my moments. Not long after, the campus network at Hua University exploded again. Someone had screenshotted my pot, single and het pie. The picture was of my bright, bold smile. The comments section was buzzing. Some said, my AI do is finally single again. AI do, look here. I'm licking the screen. Don't be so strict about gender. The campus network comments went wild, but my moments were clean. The most common comment was, senior, young master. I've been waiting for this chance for a long time. Whether they were close to me or not, everyone lined up to express their support. I glanced at the messages on my moments, and couldn't help but smile. No one mentioned Bai Ningbing. My world didn't lose all its color just because I lost him. I let out a breath, walked out of that all too familiar coffee shop, and called my cousin, who was abroad. Wan Tang, why are you calling your sister? Fang Wantong stopped the meeting as soon as she answered my call. The people in the office were used to it by now. After all, the only boy in the Fang family was special. Everyone was long accustomed to it. To protect me, the Fang family had sent me to Huagua, the safest country. In recent years, they'd also been moving assets back to China. End the meeting. This kind of thing wasn't common for them, but it wasn't a big deal either. I drove into the sun, slowly exhaled, and answered. Fang Wantong, I broke up. I dropped a bombshell right away. Fang Wantong's face changed. Her kind expression instantly darkened. The people in the office exchanged glances, lowered their heads, and dared not breathe too loudly. The basic requirement for Fang family employees was to know Chinese, so everyone there understood the siblings' conversation. Fang Wantong suppressed her anger, stood up, left the meeting room, and went to her office. She couldn't help but kick her desk. She muttered a curse under her breath, then asked with concern, are you sad? I naturally hummed in agreement. After all, for years together, it'd be weird not to be sad. Fang Wantong's heart ached as she thought, your uncle and aunt definitely can't be kept in the dark. I pursed my lips. I wasn't planning to hide it from them. Fang Wantong sighed. Your parents' temper. Knowing their little treasure suffered such a big grievance, they probably can't stay abroad for another day. She rubbed her forehead and said, spit it out. What else do you need your sister to do? I chuckled. I have 1 month until graduation. After that, I don't want to stay in the Modu anymore. Not because of Bai Ningbing, but because I'm tired of the Modu. I want to go somewhere else. Fang Wantong asked, where do you want to go? I laughed lightly. Doesn't Sister Jiang have a branch there? I can work there. Is that Oku? That place? Fang Wantong frowned. Jiangshi's security is better than before, but it's exclusive. You might not be comfortable there. It's fine. Let me try, Oku. After thinking for a moment, Fang Wantong nodded. I'll have someone arrange your accommodation. You handle your uncle and aunt yourself. Fang Cheng and his wife always wanted me to settle in Modu. Now I wanted to go to Jiangshi. Fang Wantong didn't dare take that responsibility. I felt a bit guilty, agreed, and hung up. I drove straight to the airport. Although I still had a month until graduation, I'd already finished my finance coursework. All that was left was a graduation ceremony and getting my certificate. The whole month was free for me. Instead of being idle, I'd go to Jiangshi for a change of scenery. As for clothes and luggage, I'd buy them there. I texted Uncle Lee, asking him to have someone drive the car back to the villa, and told him where I was going. Then I put away my phone, and easily boarded the plane. As for Bai Ningbing, who rushed to the coffee shop too late, I barely thought of him during the trip. Even if I occasionally did, I quickly pushed him out of my mind. I'd only been on the plane for 3 hours. When Bai Ningbing, after settling Fang Zhang, left the hospital, she didn't expect to be greeted by my announcement of being single. She doubtfully opened my moments, but only saw a single line. Bai Ningbing froze. Had I blocked or deleted her? That thought flashed through her mind, and her heart nearly stopped. She frantically dialed my number, but the phone just kept giving a cold, mechanical voice. The number you dialed cannot be reached. Bai Ningbing didn't know what what she was feeling. She just felt that the moment she couldn't reach me, the world turned upside down, everything lost color. Only boundless panic pressed on her heart. She clung to her last hope, rushed to the address I'd sent her, looked around, hoping to find me. But there was nothing. People came and went, but I wasn't there. This coffee shop was one Bai Ningbing had opened for me. It was also our usual date spot. She stared at the familiar place, as if every table held memories of us chatting and laughing. In a blink, it was all gone. Bai Ningbing found a staff member, forced herself to stay calm, and asked, "Where's Fong Yuan?" The staff member answered promptly. Mr. Fong sat here for 2 hours and then left. He didn't order anything. Bai Ningbing's heart clenched. When did he leave? Let me think. The staff member frowned, recalling. Around 10:30. 10:30. Bai Ningbing looked at her phone. Fong Yuan had messaged her at 9:30. That meant Fong Yuan had waited an hour for her. What was Fong Yuan thinking during that hour? How much determination did it take for him to not contact her again after she was an hour late? She didn't want to admit it, but Bai Ningbing's self-assured confidence was shattered. She finally realized Fong Yuan was truly angry. In all their years together, although Fong Yuan was proud, he always spoke his mind. He almost never went silent. Was this really it? Was he really done with her? Her heart ached terribly. The moment that thought surfaced, her feet started to hurt. Her heart and eyes stung, and her hands trembled uncontrollably. Bai Ningbing returned to her car like a zombie, shakily dialing my number over and over. After who knows how long, another phone on the passenger seat vibrated. It was probably Fong Zhang calling her backup phone. But Bai Ningbing had no mind to answer. She stared blankly at the dim parking lot, her heart squeezed by an invisible hand. Though she was in pain, her mind was blank. Bai Ningbing wanted to drive to my house to find me, but found her hands on the steering wheel had no strength. She realized she loved Fong Yuan more than she thought. As Bai Ningbing was lost in thought, Mo Yao called. Bai Ningbing quickly answered. Her first words were, "When I..." Mo Yao was stunned. Then she sighed. "Where are you?" Bai Ningbing gave her location. Bai Ningbing finally found an outlet, sobbing. "I can't reach Fong Yuan. I don't know how this happened. He must be really hurt. That's why he doesn't want to talk to me." Mo Yao rushed toward Bai Ningbing, sneering. "You don't know? You're just greedy. What was wrong with him? Why did you have to betray him?" Bai Ningbing, "If it weren't for growing up together, I'd want to kick you for what you did." Mo Yao really couldn't understand why Bai Ningbing cheated. In terms of looks, Fong Yuan and Fong Zhang were different types of handsome, but Fong Yuan was definitely not worse. In terms of family, the Fong family wasn't the strongest, but they were doing well. Fong Zhang couldn't compare to Fong Yuan. In terms of talent, Fong Zhang was a top student, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't met Fong Yuan, who was always in the top 3 of competitions. So what was the difference? What made Bai Ningbing betray Fong Yuan? After thinking it over, Mo Yao could only conclude, "Bai Ningbing, you're just cheap though harsh." Bai Ningbing didn't argue. She just lowered her head, reflecting. Why did she betray Fong Yuan? When did it start? It seemed that no matter how outstanding others were, Fong Yuan was always the most special in her heart. Wherever I was, her eyes were only on me. In the morning, with faint sunlight, in the pouring summer rain, the sweltering autumn, the cold, dry winter, even in the deep night under the moon. Whenever she needed me, Fong Yuan would appear without hesitation. Who would have thought that a rich young master like Fong Yuan could cook so well? Bai Ningbing knew he not only could cook, but also made everything she liked. Over time, the sharp-edged Fong Yuan in front of others had no edges left with her. So when the completely different Fong Zhang appeared, Bai Ningbing began to waver. Fong Zhang seemed gentle, but was very stubborn. Even after being rejected multiple times, he would still act cute when hurt, repeatedly asking for her response. Even a tiny bit of attention would satisfy him like a child getting candy. Compared to the almost always agreeable Fong Yuan, Fong Zhang was too easy to satisfy. Unknowingly, this fresh sense of achievement made her no longer dislike Fong Zhang's advances. She became distracted, started lying to me, and gradually spent more time on Fong Zhang. But what did Fong Yuan do wrong? He was just too good to her. Bai Ningbing had never felt so clearly her own baseness and shame. She slumped weakly into the driver's seat, not even daring to look at herself. When Mo Yao arrived, she saw Bai Ningbing sitting there, dejected, with a faint smell of disinfectant. Mo Yao frowned, waved her hand in disgust, and questioned, "Don't tell me you went to see Fong Yuan in those dirty clothes." Hearing Mo Yao's voice, Bai Ningbing finally shifted her dazed gaze, and smiled bitterly. "I'll clean up and then go find her." Seeing her lie this, Mo Yao couldn't bear to say more. She took her to the car, had her change clothes and wash her face, then they headed to my house together. But after waiting half an hour at Fong Yuan's door, no one answered. Bai Ningbing had to nervously use her fingerprint to unlock. As soon as she put her finger on it, she got a failure notice. Bai Ningbing's heart sank. She was about to try again, when Uncle Lee's voice came from behind. "Miss Bai." The two turned around immediately. Seeing Uncle Lee carrying things, Bai Ningbing took a deep breath and looked at him cautiously. "Uncle Lee, I'm here to see Fong Yuan." "I know." Uncle Lee replied flatly, then said, "The young master has gone on a trip. He won't be home for a while. I don't know when he'll be back. I'm also leaving for a while tomorrow. Don't come here anymore from now on." Although I hadn't told Uncle Lee what happened, my decisive nature already showed that Bai Ningbing's mistake was unforgivable. So, even though Uncle Lee used to lie Bai Ningbing, he wouldn't go against my wishes, or speak for her. Seeing Uncle Lee about to go inside, Bai Ningbing hurriedly stopped him, and pleaded sadly, "Can you please call Fong Yuan for me? I need to talk to him." "Please." Uncle Lee looked at her sad expression, and shook his head helplessly. "I can't help you. If I really made the young master angry, the Fong family would fire me." Although Uncle Lee didn't want to get involved, he couldn't help but say, "Miss Bai, you've known the young master for so many years. You should know his temper. I just want to know what terrible thing you did to make my young master so sad. Do you know he's never suffered much in his life? And you made him cry. You've disappointed us all." Fong Yuan cried. Bai Ningbing's throat felt blocked. It took her a while to choke out those words. She couldn't answer Uncle Lee's question, and was too ashamed to. Even Mo Yao hadn't expected me to cry. I was always so decisive. She thought I wouldn't be sad, but it turned out I really did cry. Seeing Bai Ningbing's red eyes, and her utterly lost look, Uncle Lee knew he wouldn't get the answer he wanted. He quickly shook his head, said nothing, and went inside. As the door closed again, tears fell from Bai Ningbing's red eyes, one drop at a time. Her clenched fists were white, and she had no idea how to fix things or make amends. Mo Yao took in her appearance, and just sighed. Both she and Bai Ningbing knew they wouldn't see Fong Yuan today. As for the future, Bai Ningbing didn't dare think about it. Did she and Fong Yuan still have a future? Welcome to Jiangshi. We will now show you the style of Jiangshi. As soon as the plane landed, an announcement played. It repeated twice in Mandarin and Cantonese. I twisted my sore waist from sitting too long, stood up, and left. As soon as I got off the plane, I smelled an air completely different from Modu. The wind carried the scent of the sea. I declined the flight attendant's offer to accompany me and walked toward the exit alone. There were many passengers on this flight. I didn't take the 6AI lane. The corridor was crowded, but I didn't mind. Sometimes this kind of lively atmosphere is comforting. Until not far ahead of me, the crowd suddenly became noisy. Then a panicked female screamed out through the exit corridor. I frowned and looked ahead. I saw a girl in her early 20s clutching her chest, her panicked eyes already filled with tears. She was facing a man in a business suit, seeing people around looking at her. The man wasn't flustered at all. He calmly smirked and explained, "Sorry, with all these people, I accidentally bumped into this young lady. I didn't expect such a big reaction. Sorry for the disturbance." He emphasized young lady, making people around glance sideways. But seeing his composed demeanor and reasonable words, passers-by didn't think much of it, assuming it was an accident. But the girl who was touched spoke up, frustrated. "This isn't the first time he's touched me. He deliberately made physical contact on the plane. He's a pervert." Though startled, the girl tried to keep her logic clear. But the once gentlemanly man sneered at her words. "Little girl, you can't just say things like that. A man lie me. Has seen all kinds of young women. Someone lie you." He looked her up and down, finally fixing his gaze on her flushed face, and sneered, "Dressed like that. Is it me who's interested in you? Or are you trying to get my attention?" I didn't even agree. I didn't expect a seemingly innocent girl like you to use such a method to get back at me. Times have changed. You can't judge a book by its cover. The last sentence was in Cantonese, but in the age of short videos, everyone there understood what he meant. Xia Chun couldn't believe she'd met such a shameless man. He had been hitting on her the entire flight. At first, she politely responded a couple of times, but then she sensed something was off and stopped replying altogether. After takeoff, he kept leaning on her, pretending to be asleep. Xia Chun tolerated it once or twice, not wanting trouble, but finally asked the flight attendant for a seat change. She didn't expect him to still not let her go, even after landing. Not only did he grope her in the crowd, but he also turned it around and said such things. Xia Chun didn't want to cause trouble, but she wasn't afraid to fight back. "You're the one who harassed me. The flight attendants can testify. I changed seats because you were bothering me. How can you be so shameless?" The girl tried to argue. I took out my phone and snapped a photo, shook my wrist, and walked straight toward the scene. "Little girl, you can say whatever you want, but not that." The man was fearless. After all, no one had real evidence, and people generally didn't want to get involved. So he was bold and pushy. "How about this? If you really want my contact info, it's not impossible. But a girl like you, who throws herself at any successful man, I wouldn't be interested. I advise you to focus on walking the straight path. You're a joke, showing off like that." A sudden, forceful voice cut him off. Everyone was stunned as I walked out of the crowd. I stood in front of the girl on the verge of tears. The man was surprised by my sudden appearance. He squinted with an annoyed look, but seeing such a young guy lie me, he immediately relaxed. "Kid, I suggest you mind your own business." I took off my sunglasses and casually handed them to Xia Chun. She reacted without thinking, instinctively catching my sunglasses with both hands. I didn't look back. Instead, I used the same look he had given Xia Chun to scrutinize him from head to toe. I opened my mouth and shot back at him. "Buddy, you should look in the mirror first. With your looks, women would be afraid of having nightmares. Attract your attention? You're not worthy. That girl is young and beautiful. You're nothing but a pile of mud. What's good about you?" "What do I have?" The man suddenly interrupted, clearly unconvinced. "I earn over 10,000 a month, all designer brands. Isn't it normal for her to dress like that to seduce me? Girls nowadays are all gold diggers. Just because she dresses like that, she's seducing you? Then is the dog poop on the road specially there to add some flavor for you?" The man was choked by my words, speechless, but couldn't find a way to fight back. The onlookers who were just watching the show now looked at him with a hint of mockery. After all, what I just said was too vivid, being stared at by everyone like that. The man shrank his neck nervously, but still refused to admit defeat. He glared at me fiercely. "Kid, this is Jiang City. Watch your step. Don't meddle in other people's business." The threat was obvious, but I wouldn't let that bother me. I snorted coldly. "Or what? I'm waiting. I'm right here. Either you kill me now, or you apologize nicely and get lost." My provocation and attitude infuriated the man. He thought even if it escalated, no one could do anything to him. He immediately started cursing. "Damn it, you nosy little brat. You're just as bad as that bitch. Who do you think you are?" As soon as the man opened his mouth, a stream of profanity came at me. He even raised his finger and pointed it at my forehead, looking like he was about to throw a punch. "I'm not apologizing. Come on, hit me. Kill me." My eyes turned cold. I hadn't planned on fighting, but I just kicked him straight. A scream followed, and the man's rambling instantly stopped. I snorted coldly, not planning to let him off. I walked behind him, lifted my foot, and kicked the back of his knee. Thud. The man's knee hit the ground, and he let out another yell. "You bastard." The man was sweating from the pain, wishing he could roll on the ground. He never thought this kid would actually fight. He struggled to get up, just raising his hand, when airport security, alerted by a report, arrived and surrounded us. "Sir, what do you think you're doing?" Seeing the security arrive, Xia Chun's anxiety didn't ease. She nervously tugged at my sleeve. "Thank you, but I can handle the rest myself. Since you were the one who fought, you should go." I looked at Xia Chun. She admired me immensely. As someone who can't stop crying once she starts, no matter the situation, she loses control of her tears when emotional. So a guy like me, who can tear someone apart verbally, and stay so calm himself, Xia Chun truly admired. Of course, she just admired his bravery. She couldn't let him get dragged into this too. She'd feel even guiltier if she messed up his plans. Meanwhile, not far away in the 6AI Pie Lounge, several pairs of eyes had taken in everything. A girl with striking red hair opened her mouth in surprise. "That guy's got a sharp tongue." Another girl sitting on the sofa glanced at me and casually agreed. Starting a fight at Zhang's airport isn't a big deal, but it's not a small one either. If that woman keeps making a fuss, he might end up in the station for a few days to explain himself. The red-haired girl looked at the woman sitting alone on the central sofa. "Should we go save the handsome guy?" Zhang Xian's eyes slender, bright eyes flickered. Then she shook her head. He doesn't need it. Hong Lian frowned, about to say something, but saw the young man not far away finish a phone call. The security captain said something into his walkie-talkie, then respectfully made a pleased gesture to the young man. After I followed the security away, they directly carried off the man who was still lying on the ground. Sister Ci, Hong Lian couldn't hide her surprise. How did you know that handsome guy would be fine? Kai Kuan glanced at Hong Lian, thought for a moment, then said, that guy got off the plane, escorted personally by the flight crew. For the airline to care that much, he must have more than just a rich background. He has other status. But now that someone like this has come to Jiang City, and we had no information at all. Kai Kuan asked Shang Xnci, Sister Ci, should we send someone to track him out? When it came to business, his tone immediately became serious. Shang Xnci shook her head. No need. Since we didn't get any advance notice, he might just be here on vacation. If we investigate, we might offend him for no reason. No need. Seeing that it was almost time, Hong Lian and the others headed for the boarding gate. Outside the airport, I helplessly looked at the girl following me step by step. Is there anything else? Xia Chun shook her head. Seeing me frown, she quickly nodded. Her sparkling eyes were full of admiration and respect. Can I buy you dinner? Sure. I'm hungry anyway. But judging by his accent, he wasn't a local. I asked back, do you know Jiang City well? Xia Chun replied, pretty well. I study here. There are plenty of fun places. Oh, that's good to know. I finally relaxed. Let's find a place to eat then. I'm starving. Oh cool, I'll call a cab. Xia Chun nodded hurriedly. When we reached the roadside, she said to me, my surname is Xia Chun, with Chun meaning pure. I nodded. Hello, I'm Fong Yuan. Fong Yuan, you're amazing. I've never won an argument. I start crying as soon as I open my mouth. It was really lucky to have you today. I smirked. I've never lost a fight. I had a bad temper when I was a kid. I've mellowed out over the years, but I still can't hold back easily. Xia Chun's expression was full of admiration. Are you still in school? I graduated from university in June, so you're a bit older than me. Xia Chun smiled. When the TAC 11 stopped, she rushed to open the door for me. You go first. Thanks. I liked Xia Chun's personality. Plus, she was someone I had just helped, so I had a bit more patience for her. In the car, Xia Chun proactively added me on WeChat. Seeing that his phone kept ringing with calls he ignored, I was curious but didn't ask. Instead, she chatted with me about fun things in Jiang City. When she got excited, Xia Chun's speech sped up. Brother Fong Yuan, when you're in Jiang City, besides watching the sunset at the port, you must visit Stone Slab Street. It's the locals' favorite place. It has everything for fun and food, especially at the entrance. That bar has tons of beautiful women. I listened to Xia Chun's excited introduction, mentally noting what interested me. I even chimed in a couple of times. The driver in the front also occasionally joined in. It was just evening outside the window, and the warm golden sunlight fell on us. Feeling indescribably comfortable, we got out and entered a restaurant. After sitting down, Xia Chun looked around, then lowered her voice to me. In Jiang City, Brother Fong Yuan, you need to remember one thing. Her serious tone piqued my interest. What's that? When you're out having fun and run into rich people named Shang, never mess with them. Xia Chun understood that today's incident showed I had a significant background, but even a strong dragon can't crush a local snake. I still needed to keep a low profile. The surname Shang in Jiang City is the top family. The Shang family behind it runs everything in Jiang City now. Although I wasn't very familiar with Jiang City, I knew at least that much common sense. I smiled. Don't worry, I'll be careful. Hearing this, Xia Chun felt a bit relieved. We had a hearty meal together, and Xia Chun insisted on paying the bill. Seeing that her school curfew was approaching, she quickly said goodbye to me. At night, the old city was like a big melting pot. I stood amidst the noise, shivering as the wind blew. In late April, Jiang City had a big temperature difference between day and night. The wind made me feel more alert. I hadn't found a suitable hotel, so I just hailed a TAC 11 and had the driver take me straight to one. By the time I checked in, it was almost 8 p.m. Looking at my phone, whose battery was draining fast from constant calls, I frowned. I plugged it in to charge and dialed Fong Cheng's number. It was already late overseas, and I didn't know if Fong Cheng and the others were asleep. As soon as the call connected, a gentle, refined male voice came through. Xiao Yuan, have you arrived? Fong Yuan was going to Jiang City. I had messaged Fong Cheng and his wife about it before boarding, so they knew. I lay back on the bed. Just got to the hotel. Dad, I miss you and Mom. Then I'll hand over my work and come back to China tomorrow to be with you. Okay? Although Fong Yuan grew up spoiled by the Fong family, he had always been independent and tough. If he hadn't been wronged, he almost never directly acted spoiled by this with his parents. Yun Shu chimed in from the side. If anything happens, you must tell Mom and Dad. We're here for you. No one is allowed to bully you. Got it? Mom and Dad work so hard, just so you have someone to rely on. So don't worry about anything. As long as you don't break the law, do whatever you want. Date whoever you want. Mom and Dad support you. If you don't want to date, that's fine too. Mom will support you forever. If it weren't for Bai Ningbing's mother having a good reputation in Magic City, I would never have agreed to you dating Bai Ningbing. After all, Bai Ningbing's mother is truly devoted to her husband. Too bad Bai Ningbing didn't learn any of her mother's good qualities about what happened back home. Fong Cheng and his wife hadn't asked Fong Yuan, but if they really wanted to know, it wasn't hard. From their scattered words, Fong Yuan knew they already knew about Bai Ningbing's affair, but I didn't explain further. I just pretended to be casual and replied, girlfriends, I'll still date. I hugged the blanket and rolled over, lying on the bed lazily. I'm not going to let one bad experience scare me for 10 years. Besides, there are so many beautiful women in the world. I can't really stay unmoved by all of them. People who chase after me could line up outside the city. In the past, I was calm, because I already had Bai Ningbing in my heart, and because I was her boyfriend then. Now that lop is gone, and that identity is gone. If I don't enjoy being single, I'd be stupid. Call me cold or carefree. I just want to be het pie. You're right, sweetie, Fong Cheng agreed. With your conditions, you won't lack good girls. Yeah, I nodded eagerly, chatting with my parents, and before I knew it, I fell asleep. Hearing the steady breathing from the phone, Fong Cheng quietly muted the microphone, then leaned down and kissed Yun Shu's forehead. Let's not hang out tonight. When Xiao Yuan wakes up, she can hang up herself. Okay. Yun Shu, ever since learning about Bai Ningbing's affair, finally relaxed her furrowed brow a bit after talking to her son. He lay down. Speed up the transfer of assets back to China. I want to be with her sooner too. The Fong family's business was huge, and transferring everything back to China couldn't be done overnight. Although Fong Cheng had started preparing after Fong Yuan returned to study in China, due to various reasons, only a little over half of the assets had been transferred so far. Since Yun Shu says so, I'll have to step it up and use some tough measures. Fong Cheng wasn't afraid of those in his way getting desperate. After all, Teng Xinhuan was destined to stay overseas with him guarding her. Even if others were unhappy, they couldn't cause major trouble. A cold glint flashed briefly in Fong Cheng's eyes, but when he looked down at his lifelong partner, his expression softened again. Let's sleep. Yunshu nestled into a comfortable position in Fong Chang's arms and soon fell into a deep sleep. The next day, I woke up naturally. Groggily, I picked up my phone and saw the call was still connected. A warmth filled my heart. My parents heard my still tired voice. Fong Chang was already working in his office. He asked his assistants to leave, then said gently, "Good, son's awake." Yeah, I got out of bed and pulled open the curtains, looking at the sea rippling in the wind outside. I pushed open the glass door and stretched. "Are you at the office now?" "Yeah, your mom went to pick out a gift for you. She'll have someone send it over later." "Should we send it to Magic City or Jiang City?" "Jiang City." I already told my sister. "I'll be here for a while." "Oh, send me your address on WeChat. I'll have someone bring it to you." "Alright, I'm going to take a shower. I was so tired last night I didn't even change clothes. I think I smell bad." "Then don't put your phone on silent. Call home if anything comes up." "Oh, I smiled and nodded. After hanging up, I saw new numbers constantly popping up. I frowned. Although they were unfamiliar, I knew who it was without thinking. I pressed a couple of times. Bai Ningbing, on the other end, thought I would ignore her call lie yesterday and not answer, but it actually went through. Seeing the call screen on her phone, Bai Ningbing's heart skipped a beat. Fong Yuan. Her voice was hoarse. After organizing her words for a long time, she only dared to softly call out. I let out a sarcastic laugh. "Miss Bai, aren't you tired?" Over 99 missed calls. If my phone weren't so durable, it would have crashed by now. "Where are you?" "I'll come find you." "Can we talk face to face?" Bai Ningbing tried to ignore the coldness in my tone, cautiously trying to please me. This cautious demeanor immediately reminded me of the time after I carried Bai Ningbing out of the fire. During the period I was hospitalized for severe burns on my arms. I hated the look of my scars, and couldn't even bathe. Being someone who values cleanliness, I couldn't stand anyone seeing me lie that. So when Bai Ningbing came to visit me, I always kept her outside the hospital room door. But Bai Ningbing would use that same soft, pleading tone to talk to me from outside the door. She sent me the graduation ceremony and photos I missed, one by one to my phone, and patiently told me from behind the hospital door what happened in class while I was away. When she talked about funny things, both of us could be heard laughing from inside and outside the room. Actually, I wasn't that difficult. With her coaxing me lie that, my discomfort would quickly fade. Eventually, I would be the one to open the door and let her in. What was Bai Ningbing's reaction then? I recalled. In my mind, I saw the girl who had just been smiling, but the moment she saw my bandaged arms and back, her expression froze instantly. Seeing the faint red fluid seeping through the bandages, the usually aloof school beauty's eyes reddened without warning. She was so agitated her lips trembled. Her hand reached out several times to touch me, but afraid of hurting me, she pulled back each time. "Fong Yuan, why did you rush in?" The fire was so big. Bai Ningbing's words were full of self-blame and her eyes were full of pain. Before she could finish, tears fell. I, on the other hand, was carelessly cheerful and comforting. "Come on, we've been friends since childhood. I couldn't just let you burn to death, could I?" Actually, I don't know where I got the courage and strength back then to rush into Bai Ningbing's house and carry her out. Even when the falling curtain was about to cover us, I instinctively used my back to shield Bai Ningbing. The flames from the curtain caught my sleeve. Logically, I should have taken off my clothes to save myself, but the fire was too big. I was afraid that if I put it down, I wouldn't have the strength to carry her again. Without much thought, I gritted my teeth and endured the pain, carrying Bai Ningbing out in one go. As soon as we left the fire, I handed her off to the adults who had arrived, and quickly stripped off my own clothes. But from my arm to my shoulder, the burns were still severe. As for Bai Ningbing, only the arm that was on my shoulder had a small burn. Just that small patch kept the pampered Miss Bai awake all night from the pain. Because of that, seeing how badly I was hurt, she felt so guilty and miserable. Years have passed, and that once flamboyant, self-centered girl has ultimately changed. Snapping back to reality, I sighed. With a mature tone, I asked her, "What do you want to say to me? Do you want to tell me how you were sneaking around with Fong Sheng? How exciting your affair was? Or do you really want to tell me that even though you cheated, I'm still the one you love most?" As I spoke, I felt my stomach churn, disgusted beyond belief. "Bai Ningbing, any apology from you means less than nothing to me." "It's not lie that," Bai Ningbing quickly explained. "Fong Yuan, nothing substantial really happened between Fong Zhang and me. At most, it was just that one hug. Nothing after that." She choked up, trying to defend herself. "Don't sentence me to death, just lie that. Can you give me a chance?" From the moment she realized yesterday that she had truly lost me, Bai Ningbing felt like her whole world had collapsed. There was only one voice in her head. "I can't lose him. Only by finding me would anything else matter." So she frantically tried to contact me, only to be met with my words that she meant nothing. Bai Ningbing held her phone, her fingers turning white from gripping it so hard. Before she could say another word, all that was left on the phone was the busy tone, repeatedly reminding her of her own ridiculousness and helplessness. She instinctively redialed, only to find I had blocked that number. She had to use another phone number to keep calling. I frowned at the constantly ringing phone, remembering my promise to Fong Chang and the others, and forced myself not to turn it off. I just switched to airplane mode, logged on to Jiang City's shopping platform, bought some clothes and shoes, filled in a hotel address, and then went to take a shower. An hour later, I changed clothes and left the hotel. The first thing I did was go to a service center and get a new SIM card. I sent the new number to Fong Chang and the others, and suspended the old card. Only then did I feel completely relaxed. I found a small restaurant and had a meal. The sky was getting dark. After lunch, I went back to the hotel and lay around all afternoon. Stepping out into the evening sunset, I leisurely left the hotel. The sea breeze, carrying a hint of danger, added a touch of tranquility to this romantic city. I took a TAC 11 to the stone slab street that Xia Chun recommended. I strolled slowly along the street to the end. Night had already fallen. Neon signs flickered on both sides. This kind of bustle was different from Magic City. I stopped in front of a bar at the end of the street, looking up at the retro gate paved with bluestone. My eyes scanned the entrance. I was wondering why Xia Chun hadn't even told me the bar's name. It turned out the bar didn't have a sign at all. If she hadn't specifically told me about it, I probably would have walked right past it. I couldn't help but grin, then stepped into the bar. As soon as I entered, I was faced with a lobby that seemed endless. Unlike the understated retro exterior, the bar's interior was extremely luxurious. Everywhere I looked, there was the finest marble flooring. Standing at the entrance, many people had already started checking me out. "Handsome guy, over at the bar." Someone lowered their voice and called out. It was the busiest time at the bar, with people coming and going. But when I walked in with an imposing presence, my face catching the light, people at the booths and tables all turned to look. Within seconds, someone had already approached me. Do you need any help? I curled my lips at the woman standing in front of me. Hello, I'm looking for the person in charge of this bar. Hearing I was looking for the bot, she was clearly stunned, her mouth twitching as she thought. Could it be she's looking for Sister CI? She had just spoken in Cantonese. I didn't catch it, just hummed in response. The woman quickly switched to Mandarin, smiling as she said, as for the person in charge, there are few. You can look for whoever you want. Just someone who can make decisions. The woman looked me up and down, seeing my calm expression and relaxed demeanor, completely different from the usual nervousness of people looking for Shang XNCI. It seems this kid probably isn't here for that. His earlier somewhat gloomy thoughts suddenly turned into eager anticipation. Leading the way, she casually asked, first time at Zhang's place? I nodded, smiling slightly with a hint of distance. So, how long are you planning to hang around? If you're staying long, maybe we could spark something. I didn't bother to respond, just said flatly, whatever fate brings. She smiled, drawing out her words. Pulling out her phone. Want to add WeChat? Feel free to reach out anytime. I looked at the QR code she pulled up, calmly switched to a secondary Oatsao to scan it, then quickly switched back to my main Oatsao. I did this right in front of her, openly. The woman's mouth twitched. This kid really treats me like I'm invisible. But she couldn't complain, afraid of seeming petty. She understood. I had no interest in engaging with her, just went through the motions of social etiquette, then quietly slipped away. Left standing there, I didn't care. I smiled politely at the bar staff and said, I'm looking for the person in charge here. Please wait a moment. The bar staff, Xiao Yuan, responded politely, not holding it against me for breaking the rules, turned and went to find someone. A few minutes later, a red-haired, cocky young girl followed Xiao Yuan toward me. I was sitting on a swivel chair at the bar, playing with a wine glass. When she saw that lazy, handsome face in front of her, Hong Lian yawned. Her originally lazy steps paused, then her eyes widened. Hey, no way, this handsome guy. Seeing what I really looked like, Hong Lian's heart skipped a beat. It really is this handsome guy. Leaning back against the bar, the guy asked, what's up? I've booked all the booths by the seaside. Actually, as soon as I entered the bar, I realized the end of this stone street was the sea. Sitting there, I could take in the whole ocean view. I have a bit of a quirk. I love finding peace in the midst of noise. Hong Lian followed my gaze to the west side of the bar, chin up, smiling lazily. You're pretty bold, huh? That area is the best seating in the bar. I'm taking it all for myself. If I weren't decent looking, Hong Lian would have kicked me out without a second thought. I glanced sideways at her, then casually pulled out a bank card. With a cocky smile, want to make some money? Hong Lian stared at the card in my hand, then squinted with a smile. Deal. She took the card and handed it to the Sovio behind her, then turned back to ask how many seats I needed. Everything within 10 meters. Deal. Hong Lian agreed swiftly, giving a signal, and someone immediately went to clear the area. Soon, a Sovio led me to the floor-to-ceiling window. As soon as I sat down, many eyes in the bar turned to me in unison. Soon, news of a super handsome guy at the nameless bar spread like wildfire through Zhang's place. A Sovio came up to ask Sister Hong, why did you agree to that kid's request? Our bar isn't short on cash. Hong Lian couldn't be bothered with that person. Remembering how Fong Yuan had cursed at the airport, her head still tingled. She replied meaningfully, I'm afraid he'll curse me, as Hong Lian walked away. The guy who asked only then realized what she meant. Someone in Zhang's place dares to curse Sister Hong? Hong Lian didn't care what the bar people whispered. She quickly entered the elevator and went out to the second floor, then burst into their usual private room. Ignoring the looks from the other two, she said mysteriously, guess who I just ran into downstairs? Kai Kuan was startled by her sudden entrance, grabbed an apple from the table, and threw it at her, cursing irritably, are you crazy? All jumpy like that. Hong Lian caught the apple swiftly, took a big bite, then, with the apple in her mouth, mumbled excitedly, come on, guess. You'll never guess. Not guessing, Kai Kuan couldn't be bothered with such a pointless game. Hong Lian just grunted, leaned over to Shang XNCI, who was busy working on a tablet. Sister CI, want to guess? Shang XNCI didn't even look up. Get lost. Hong Lian choked, took another fierce bite of the apple, fell back onto the sofa with a sigh. The room was quiet for a rare moment. Both were focused on their own things, neither paying her any attention. Hong Lian felt restless, muttering to herself. Such a handsome guy sitting downstairs. He could attract a lot of customers. Still, Shang XNCI showed no reaction, but Kai Kuan rolled his eyes impatiently. Spit it out or shut up. Hong Lian snorted. Though she was bursting with gossip, she couldn't be bothered to say more. She just swallowed her desire to say, and fell asleep on the sofa. The three had rushed back to Zhang's from out of town last night, hardly getting any rest, followed by a flurry of work. Hong Lian had originally joined Shang XNCI to lie a carefree life as a rich young lady, but instead, her days became more fulfilling and demanding. With no chance to slack off, she let out a long yawn, closed her eyes, and fell asleep. The room fell quiet again. Half an hour later, Kai Kuan slapped her awake. Let's go downstairs to eat. Hong Lian groggily rubbed her eyes, followed the two out of the room. As soon as they left, Hong Lian suddenly woke up, about to say something, when she saw Shang XNCI standing ahead, hands in pockets, eyes half lowered, looking downstairs, with a thoughtful expression. Her gaze flickered. No one knew what she was thinking. Noticing her stare, Hong Lian slapped her forehead. Sister CI, I almost forgot to tell you. That kid booked the whole area downstairs, the spot where we usually eat. He's got it within his 10-meter zone too. Kai Kuan raised an eyebrow. So that's what you were being mysterious about? Yeah, Hong Lian squinted with a smile. He looks even hotter today than yesterday. Kai Kuan snorted coldly. Yeah, he's pretty hot. Now almost half the customers in the hall are lining up at his spot. Those not in line are all staring his way. Even the girls are going out of their way to join the fun, and he doesn't turn anyone away, as long as you queue up. As long as you're pretty enough and have a good figure, anyone can sit across from him and play around, until you find out what's happening. Hong Lian dramatically covered her eyes, sighing, this kid really knows how to have fun. Hong Lian's words were pure praise. Kai Kuan couldn't be bothered, but Shang XNCI remained expressionless, withdrew her gaze, and walked toward the elevator. For some reason, Hong Lian suddenly felt the atmosphere turn cold. She deliberately bumped into Kai Kuan. Don't you think something's off? Kai Kuan glared at her. Get away from me. Your head's the one that's off. You can even sell the spot where we eat. Why don't you just donate your brain too? Shang XNCI, this didn't lie to smell food in the private room. So they always ate on the first floor. Don't be mad. Hong Lian knew why Kai Kuan was upset. Quickly followed to appease him. I'll go talk to him. Borrow a table so we can eat. Get lost. Kai Kuan didn't want to deal with this silly girl. Hong Lian didn't care about his coldness. After going downstairs, she rushed over to me in 3 steps. Handsome, she greeted with a grin, sitting straight across from me. Today's drinks are all on the house. Just lend us a table to eat. Deal? Hearing Hong Lian's words, I casually nodded. It's just a few people having a meal. Doesn't affect me much. Hong Lian got the answer she wanted. Immediately ran to the booth next to mine, waving at Shang XNCI and Kai Kuan. So embarrassing, Kai Kuan muttered under his breath. She's the female bot of this place. Yet she has to borrow a table from a guest to eat, all because of this silly girl, Hong Lian. Zhang Xinci, however, wasn't affected by such trivial matters. She withdrew her gaze from Feng Yuan, slowly stood up, and unhurriedly walked over to sit beside Hong Lian. While waiting for the food, Hong Lian leaned over the sofa on my side, watching Feng Yuan play dice with the people became to chat up. Time ticked by. The people in front of me were almost gone, except for occasionally losing exchange contact info with challengers. I was basically on a winning streak. The woman sitting across from me rolled a 1. She looked at me with a confident smile, as if she had it in the bag. This round was about who rolled the smallest number. She didn't believe this kid could be that lucky, but when I lifted the cup, revealing 3 ones, her smile froze instantly. Then she said, a bit defiantly, the best dice player here isn't me. If you can beat that person, I'll admit defeat. I raised an eyebrow. And then, if you can beat her, I'll respect you. I glanced at her impatiently and reminded, you can leave. I'm just here for fun. You think you can provoke me? The woman clearly didn't expect this reaction. The onlookers chuckled softly, thinking she was embarrassing herself. Suppressing her anger, she said, those people who just came out of the elevator. You must have seen them, right? I raised an eyebrow, not denying it. After all, those 3 had great looks and presence, causing quite a stir when they appeared in the hall. If I said I hadn't noticed, it would be too fake. Seeing my attitude, the woman smirked maliciously. The one in the middle is the best dice player here. If she says she's second, no one dares to claim first. If you can really beat her, I'll completely respect you. I chuckled lightly. I don't care if you respect me or not. The woman was choked up, about to say more, but I just called for the next person. I completely ignored her. She could only clench her fists, fuming inside. But the new person directly pulled her away, sat across from me, and started the game immediately. And this person was someone she couldn't mess with. Helpless, she had to leave in frustration. After a few more rounds, I tossed the dice up onto the table board, saying I was done. These people all have their styles, but in the end, they're all the same. Don't go yet. We haven't even started. As soon as I said I was stopping, those in line groaned. But I didn't look back, just got up to leave. You're leaving? Hong Lian startled to stand up, quickly said, actually, what that girl said earlier. You might want to consider it. Sister C's dice skills are really impressive. Hong Lian hadn't had enough of watching this guy, and didn't want him to leave so soon. I paused my movement, turned to look at the woman who was playing on her phone. Honestly, she was the most appealing woman I've ever met. She seemed to feel my gaze. Looked up, and our eyes met. I silently thought, she's really beautiful. I smiled at her openly, then walked over to her. Zhang Xinci put down her phone, leaned back lazily, her long legs slightly bent, her gaze landing on me. Amidst the noisy Mio Dike, I only heard that I asked, want to play? Zhang Xinci couldn't help but chuckle, asking back, play what? I frowned slightly. I had made quite a scene over there. It was normal if she hadn't noticed, since she was busy with her phone. I thought about it and lost all interest. After all, I had only come over because her eyes had lingered on me for a moment. Now that she didn't seem interested, I just dropped it. No, let's not play. With that thought, the excitement in my eyes faded completely, with an apologetic smile. Sorry to bother you. Then I turned and left. Zhang Xinci watched me walk away. Her heart inexplicably tightened. Suddenly, a thought popped into her head. I actually heard it, but pretended not to. But Hong Lian didn't want me to leave. Quickly chased after me to stop me, hurriedly shouting, play, play, play. Handsome, I'll play. She stopped so abruptly, she almost lost her balance. I was amused by the red hair bobbing on her head. I gave her a bright smile. I don't want to play with your sister, Ci. How about playing with you? Hong Lian froze, but the cold air falling on her snapped her back to reality. She quickly shook her head, stuttering, I can't. Better play with Sister Ci. Sister Ci is really good, she praised enthusiastically, but her eyes were full of pleas for mercy. After all, Zhang Xinci usually didn't care much about eyes. But today she had taken a second look. If Hong Lian messed this up, the big shots in the business would skin her alive. Though we had just met, I quickly understood what this red-haired girl meant. I frowned. She didn't really want to play with me. How could that be? Hong Lian immediately reported. She's just playing hard to get, you know? Kai Kuan, listening nearby, just smirked, quietly giving Hong Lian a thumbs up in the corner. I couldn't help but squint with a smile. Turned to look at Zhang Xinci, who was clearly a bit embarrassed by that comment. Frozen, but still trying to act like nothing happened. That made me laugh even more. I went back and sat across from her. Picked up the dice cup on the table. How do we play? Zhang Xinci showed no sign of discomfort, leaned forward slightly to make it easier to talk. Best of 3. Your rules. Lose, drink a beer. Win, add your contact info. I agreed readily, but Zhang Xinci added, I want your main contact info, not some dummy oats you never use. I didn't agree immediately, instead asking, high or low? Zhang Xinci didn't mind. You decide. Low it is, I said, motioning for her to go first. Zhang Xinci didn't hesitate, shook the cup a couple of times and stopped, looked up and nodded for me to go. I skillfully picked up the cup, shook it a few times, and set it down. Hong Lian looked at both, noticing how casual their movements were, their faces revealing nothing, making it hard to guess who would win. She suggested, how about opening together? I nodded, exchanging a glance with Zhang Xinci. We lifted our cups at the same time. A crowd craned their necks to see. Hong Lian praised my dice first. 3 ones again. Your skill is amazing. She had been watching me for a while, noticing I could easily roll the same numbers, but I showed no reaction to the compliment. Just looked at Zhang Xinci's dice. Her 3 dice were stacked, with only a single red dot on top. Clearly, I had lost without a doubt. I'm not one to take a loss badly, so I pulled out my QR code and handed it over. Scan it. Zhang Xinci glanced at it briefly and shook her head. That's not the one I want. I hadn't given her my main oat sao. That oat sao hadn't even been touched. Zhang Xinci wasn't blind. She could tell I was caught red-handed, but I wasn't embarrassed. Just smiled at her openly. Then teach me how to roll dice. Seeing the eager look in my eyes, Zhang Xinci was a bit puzzled, not understanding why I was so interested in dice. She asked. I answered without thinking. It's CU. The atmosphere fell silent for 2 seconds. Then Zhang Xinci burst out laughing. When she laughed, the corners of her mouth lifted, her clear, bright eyes, for a moment, like peach blossoms swaying in the spring breeze, almost unrealistically beautiful. I stared at her for a while before forcing myself to look away. Hong Lian couldn't help but sigh. You and Sister Ci had the same reason for learning investing. Investing wasn't something they had to learn, but in their circle, everyone liked to dabble in it, so they all knew a bit. Only Shang XNCI had mastered it completely, sometimes even called upon to show off at events. And back then, she had dived into learning it for just one reason. It was see you. I pulled out my name WeChat. Let Shang XNCI scan it and leave a note. Shang XNCI pretended to be casual, but this was her tacit agreement to teach me. Fong Yuan. I gave my name. Before she could ask, Shang XNCI sent me her note. Seeing those 3 words, my eyes flickered slightly. Then I acted as if nothing happened. After we added each other, Hong Lian chimed in. I want to add you too, but I'm definitely not as good at dice as you. How about you get fried drinks here from now on? I shook my head. Treat me to a meal instead. Hong Lian's personality was clearly that of a foodie, so I figured I wouldn't go wrong following her lead. Deal. Hong Lian quickly added me, then introduced herself. I'm Hong Lian. Nice to meet you. I smiled at her. Hong Lian was almost dazzled by my smile. Snapping back to reality, she sighed. You're the most handsome guy I've ever seen. Thanks. You're not bad either. I mean it. Hong Lian's hair might have been a mess, but she was indeed good looking. Actually, not just her. Even the one among the 3 who had barely spoken to me, though his brows carried a hint of coldness, had top-notch looks and presence. Hong Lian asked curiously, are you here in Zhang's for tourism? Lots of guys from the mainland come to Zhang's these days, so her question wasn't strange. I thought for a moment before replying. For now, debt. How long are you planning to stay? Hong Lian was especially warm toward guys she clicked with. About a month. That's the plan. As for how long I'll actually stay, it depends on my mood. That's quite a while, Hong Lian muttered, then pressed, where are you staying? As soon as she said that, Shang XNCI interrupted the warning tone. Hearing her speak, Hong Lian realized she had been a bit forward, quickly explained, so I just wanted to invite you to hang out. No other meaning. It's fine. I didn't know if Hong Lian had other intentions, but I wasn't about to tell her my address. Shang XNCI glanced at her phone. Message me if you need anything. Deal. I'll invite you to play then. Make sure you show up. Hong Lian reminded again. Oh cool. I nodded, checked the time, stood up and said, I'm going back to rest. See you next time. Sure, Hong Lian agreed readily, but Shang XNCI added, I'll pick you up tomorrow. I raised an eyebrow. Why would you pick me up? Shang XNCI asked back. Didn't you want to learn dice? I chuckled lightly. Oh, that. Wait for me to call you. With that, I didn't wait for their reactions, and walked off with big strides. This guy's really wild. Kaikuin said after I was on. Then asked Shang XNCI. Interesting, huh? Shang XNCI rubbed her tired forehead. Having been busy non-stop for 2 days, she really hadn't rested well. He's not interested in me. Shang XNCI's voice was full of exhaustion. Kaikuin didn't say anything, just glanced at Hong Lian, and casually remarked, looks like he's more interested in you than in her. What? Hong Lian was scrolling through Fong Yuan's moments, and didn't catch what he said. Shang XNCI just sighed. Let's go eat. Kaikuin nodded, and the 3 headed to the dining area. Hong Lian was still curious. Do you think he'll really call? Shang XNCI didn't answer. Just walked ahead. Hong Lian shrugged and followed. I almost dropped my phone when I heard that. Eyes wide. How is that possible? But thinking about what just happened, Hong Lian grinned again. But it seems like it's true. Fong Yuan smiled at me more than at you. Get lost. Shang Xinzi didn't lie seeing him so smug. She lightly kicked his knee. Hong Lian pretended to be hurt, limped over to Shang Xinzi, then pulled up Fong Yuan's social media for her to see. With a cryptic tone, she said, she just broke up. That pot was from 2 days ago. Kaikuin also leaned in for a look. No way, there's a woman that blind? Fong Yuan's personality and looks aren't her type, but she can't lie and say he's bad. Just seeing the content of Fong Yuan's pot, Kaikuin was silent for a moment. There really is someone that low. So Hong Lian frowned. Fong Yuan came to Jiang City to clear his head, right? Most likely, Kaikuin nodded. Sister Ci, the one who was just down, perked up, staring intently at Shang Xinzi, seizing the opportunity. Ah, Sister Ci, Shang Xinzi was speechless, starting to doubt herself. Am I being too obvious, or not obvious enough? Kaikuin patted her shoulder. From the first time you saw Fong Yuan yesterday, your eyes haven't left him. And, Hong Lin squinted, adding, yesterday at the airport, you said you didn't need our help, but then you contacted the airport managio to give him the green light. When Shang Xinzi said that, she had just sent him a message. Hong Lian saw the whole process. If yesterday's move could be understood as a moment of kindness, today's performance really shocked them. A guy like Fong Yuan, who accepts everyone and plays around freely, Shang Xinzi would never have bothered with before. But as long as Fong Yuan was around, no matter how many girls were surrounding him, Shang Xinzi's eyes were still glued to him. She just couldn't look away. That's why Hong Lian suggested Fong Yuan change seats, and why she stirred them to play dice together. Shang Xinzi didn't refuse then, which already said a lot. At least in Shang Xinzi's heart, Fong Yuan is something special. Looking at the 2 lively jokers playing off each other, Shang Xinzi could only shake her head helplessly, and didn't deny it anymore. Shang Xinzi had never been in love, but she was very clear about her feelings for Fong Yuan. She didn't just want to be ordinary friends with him. The uncontrollable heartbeat, the rising body temperature, all of this was new to her. Fong Yuan. She silently recited his name. Her ears reddened from Hong Lian and Kaikuin's teasing. Don't bother him. Her voice was a little hoarse, but anyone could tell she was in a good mood. Hong Lian and Kaikuin exchanged a look, and nodded in agreement. Kaikuin understood in his heart, this kind of thing has to take its natural course. Too much outside interference would backfire. Hong Lian felt that as long as she didn't bring up Shang Xinzi, then inviting Fong Yuan out to play wouldn't be going against her wishes. On the other side, after leaving the bar, I noticed many eyes secretly watching my movements. Strangely, before I could do anything, those gazes disappeared completely. I walked around the area a few more times, confirming that those eyes watching me in the dark had really all retreated. I took a TAC 11 back to the hotel. After a quick wash, I took my phone and walked to the hotel balcony, leaned back in the rocking chair, opened WeChat and started replying to messages. Kaikuin, who received the message, sat up in bed. Xiao Yuan, you're done? Yeah, what's up? Kaikuin thought about what happened during the day, and honestly reported the situation on the campus network. The photos and videos of Bai Ningbing and Fang Zheng are all gone. Bai Ningbing must have had someone handle it. Kaikuin sent a screenshot and continued. Bai Ningbing said on the campus network that it was a misunderstanding with Fang Zheng. Your relationship is stable, no breakup. I think a lot of people believe it. The 2 grew up together since childhood, dated for a few years, they look good together. Their families are well matched. In every aspect, they're not inferior to each other. So in everyone's eyes, they are a perfect match made in heaven. When Fong Yuan's photos from that day came out, many people didn't believe it. They thought someone must have photoshopped them, hoping to stir up trouble in their relationship. Today, Bai Ningbing posted this statement. More people people now believe Fong Yuan and Bai Ningbing didn't break up. I opened the picture Kai Kuan sent. It was a screenshot of Bai Ningbing's statement, which read, "Thank you all for your concern, but Fong Yuan and I are in a very stable relationship." As for the photos from 2 days ago, it was just a favor out of kindness. Please stop maliciously spreading the related photos and videos. Otherwise, I will contact a lawyer to protect my rights. The statement was well written. Nothing wrong with it. I smirked and replied to Kai Kuan, "I got it. Thanks." Then I directly opened the campus forum. Because the topic was still hot, Bai Ningbing's pot was still on the front page. I didn't even need to search. Clicked on the comments and typed a line. "I am currently single." The claim of a stable relationship with Bai Ningbing is entirely Bai Ningbing's own words. Also, the romantic hug between Bai Ningbing and Fong Yuzhong. Those photos and videos were originally posted by me. Sincerely wishing you two are locked together forever. After posting this, I copied the content again and posted it directly on my own page. Also tagged Bai Ningbing and Fong Zhang. After doing all this, I felt refreshed and played on my phone for a while. Once my mood calmed down, I went back to sleep. Since Bai Ningbing wants to discuss me so much, I don't need to be too polite. At the same time, Bai Ningbing saw Fong Yuan's reply. Her face immediately turned as black as the bottom of a pot. She immediately opened Fong Yuan's campus private chat. "Xiao Yuan, where are you? Does it have to come to this? For the sake of our years together, give me a chance to explain in person. Oku?" After waiting a long time, Bai Ningbing still didn't get a reply from me. She sat on the sofa, her heart cold, leaning back, picked up the drink on the table and downed it in one gulp, then sent another message. "It's Oku if we don't meet. I can explain everything to you right now. Oku." Fong Zhang's existence was just to make you jealous, to make you pay more attention to me. The closest distance between Fong Zhang and me. Xiao Yuan, I only lie you. Really, in this life, it's only you, Xiao Yuan. I just wanted to make you jealous. Just that hug that day, a little temper tantrum. But I never thought about breaking up with you. Don't be so heartless. Don't abandon me, Oku. After sending this message, Bai Ningbing was completely drained, slid from the sofa onto the carpet. Tears spread in her bloodshot eyes. She couldn't find out where Fong Yuan was now, and didn't know which force was interfering. She couldn't even catch her breath. He had simply vanished from her life. Bai Ningbing admitted she was really hurting. Every day, every moment, it felt like a piece of her heart was hollowed out. She couldn't muster any energy for anything. Everything felt empty. The only thing she could do was repeatedly scroll through the chat history with Fong Yuan, holding on to a sliver of hope in this near-despairing wait, hoping that the next second, Fong Yuan would send her a message. Even if Fong Yuan came to yell at her or hit her, it would be better than having no news at all. But when she actually received such a cold and heartless message from Fong Yuan, she felt her heart being twisted. Unbearable pain. Bai Ningbing closed her eyes. Tears from the corners of her eyes rolled directly into the thick carpet. She truly knew she was wrong. Why couldn't Fong Yuan be just a little soft-hearted towards her? The Fong Yuan who used to lie her so much. Since dropping that bombshell on the campus network that day, I haven't paid much attention to the gossip in Magic City. These days in Jiang City, I've been sleeping in and wandering the streets. Morning runs to watch the sunrise, evenings to greet the sunset. My mood is indescribably relaxed and carefree. It rained today, and I took a nap to the sound of the rain. Just woke up, still lying in bed spacing out, when I suddenly received a message from Hong Lian. Seeing that she had sent me a WeChat, I was quite surprised. After all, we've only met once. I opened the chat box. Hong Lian said, "Fong Yuan, want to come out and play? I'm organizing a party at the estate. The scenery is nigh. Are you interested?" The moment I opened the chat box, Hong Lian seemed to see the typing indicator and quickly sent another message. Come on, everyone in the circle has a good personality. I promise you won't feel uncomfortable." I was planning to politely decline, but after seeing Hong Lian's words, I silently deleted it all. Only replied with Oku. She's being so considerate. Besides, I don't have anything else important to do. Joining in the fun wouldn't hurt. I rolled over. What time? I agreed. Hong Lian was so het pie she almost split her face. 1 hour later, departure point is a private estate. Outside cars can't get in. I'll come pick you up directly. If you think it's inconvenient, I'll wait for you at the intersection. Actually, this car is hard to find. Rather than driving around, it's easier to let him come. There's nothing to hide about my address. With the Hong family status in Jiang City, if they really wanted to find out, they would have already. I directly sent him my location and said, "I'll get ready. Call me when you arrive." 1 hour passed quickly. I had just finished blow-drying my hair when I received a photo from Hong Lian. Below it was marked, "I'm downstairs." I glanced up. It was exactly the hotel I was staying at. I told Fong Wantong about my plans, then went to take the elevator down. Hong Lian was already bored sitting in the car. Seeing me come out, she immediately rolled down the window and waved at me. "Fong Yuan, over here." I waved back at him. To be honest, Hong Lian's car was anything but low-key. A bright red modified off-road vehicle. Just the color alone made it hard to ignore. I quickly walked to the car, still hesitating whether to sit in the front or back. But Hong Lian got out and opened the back door for me. "There's a big shot in the front seat who called dibs. So you'll have to sit in the back. So about that." "It's Oku." I nodded, smiled and thanked him, ready to get in. But suddenly, a pair of slender, well-defined hands appeared before my eyes. I followed the hands up. My eyes met the gaze of the person in the car. Their expression was calm. Clearly already knew I was coming. I curled my lips. "See you again. Meeting again." I was still stunned by Shang Xinxi's beauty. Seriously, how can someone be so perfect? Shang Xinxi nodded slightly. The look in her eyes unconsciously softened. She spoke. "Need help?" As she said this, she extended her hand, convenient for me to hold onto her arm. I didn't refuse. Hong Lian's off-road vehicle was indeed a bit high, even though there was a step. It was hard to get in without holding onto something. I placed my hand on Shang Xinxi's slender forearm. Using the leverage, I nimbly climbed into the car. "Thanks," I said, then sat down and buckled my seatbelt. But Shang Xinxi's gaze was still fixed on where I had just let go. Fong Yuan's hand was very soft and dry, and a bit warm. The moment it touched her hand, Shang Xinxi felt like a swarm of ants crawling up her arm and covering her whole body. Her whole body inexplicably started to heat up. She pursed her lips, feeling her ears start to burn. She quickly turned her head to look out the window, pretending to ignore it to cover up her feelings. Hong Lian saw everything that happened in the back seat. She almost laughed, her mouth twitching, then hummed a little tune. Started the car in a great mood. She pressed the accelerator hard all the way. The off-road roar was to you, but my hand gripping the seatbelt was a bit tight. Shang Xinxi, after her emotions calmed down, noticed my slightly nervous little action, frowned slightly, hesitated, lifted her leg and gently kicked the front seat. "Slow down." Hong Lian was speechless. "I'm not even going that fast. Isn't this how I always drive?" Even as she said that, seeing my pale face in the rearview mirror, she silently slowed down a bit. "Fong Yuan, are you scared?" Usually, when he drives like a maniac, Shang Xinxi doesn't say a word. Today, she asked to slow down. Looks like this request wasn't made for just anyone. Hong Lian understood immediately. I looked up at him, replied helplessly, "It's not car sickness. Actually, I don't get car sick to the point of vomiting. At most, I get dizzy and nauseous. Maybe because I didn't eat lunch. Today it's worse than usual." "You get car sick?" Hearing this, Hong Lian slowed down even more. I quickly stopped him. "Just drive at your normal speed. Better to get it over with quickly." I can handle it. Are you sure? Hong Lian asked, turning back. I nodded, giving a very determined look. Hong Lian gave an OK sign, then sped up and headed straight for the destination. It was still fast, but much smoother than before. After a few more minutes, Shang Xinxi suddenly spoke. Pull over up ahead. Hong Lian asked, what's wrong? Get something. Hong Lian didn't think much of it. Stop the car immediately. Soon, a person waiting by the roadside handed a bag in. Shang Xinxi took it, opened it, and glanced inside. Confirmed it was what she wanted. Then took out a drink and handed it to me. Honey grapefruit lemon tea. Drink some. It'll help with the car sickness. For me, I was stunned. Shang Xinxi raised an eyebrow. Otherwise, Fang Yuan is the only one in this car who needs it. Thanks. I smiled gratefully at her, took the cup and started drinking. This lemon tea tasted surprisingly good. Sweet and sour, just right. After drinking it, I felt like I had a new lease on life, much more energetic. Shang Xinxi stared at me, dazed, until I took the straw away from my mouth. Then she rummaged through the bag again, handed me a box of pills, car sickness pills, brand new, unopened. Shang Xinxi, I murmured her name, looked up at her. Are you always this attentive? Hong Lian in the front seat almost laughed her head off. Shang Xinxi, attentive? That's the biggest joke she's ever heard. But Shang Xinxi, sitting in the back, didn't look guilty at all, smiled without changing her expression and said, the destination is still an hour away. Taking the medicine will make you feel better later. Oh, cool. I popped out a car sickness pill and put it in my mouth, tilted my head back and swallowed, then leaned back against the seat and closed my eyes to rest. Actually, whether Shang Xinxi is attentive or caring doesn't matter much to me. After all, we're just passing acquaintances. Time slowly passed. Hong Lian listened to the soothing Mio Dike, but felt uncomfortable all over. His usual bass heavy metal was his standard. This gentle Mio Dike didn't met his fiery red car at all. Hong Lian secretly reached out to change the Mio Dike, but a pair of eyes staring from the back seat reached out. She recoiled as if bitten by a snake, immediately withdrew her hand. After multiple failed attempts, Hong Lian resigned herself, let the quiet, soothing Mio Dike flow through the car. The car drove further and further, leaving the city's noise behind. Both sides of the road became open. My breathing gradually steadied. My head swayed and was about to hit the car window. Shang Xinxi turned sideways, instinctively reached out her hand. Her soft, slender hand steadily blocked between my head and the glass. The next second, my forehead rested securely in her palm. When she looked down and could see the fine fuzz on my fair cheeks, Shang Xinxi realized how abrupt her action was. She instinctively held her breath, afraid of waking the sleeping person, but the faint scent of my body still quietly slipped in while she held her breath. Shang Xinxi felt her heartbeat was out of control. Thump, thump, completely exposing her nervous and flustered emotions. When I opened my eyes, I was met with Shang Xinxi's tense expression. We were extremely close. Not only could Shang Xinxi smell my scent, but I could also smell Shang Xinxi's cedar life fragrance. Her arm was still in front of me. The place where my forehead had just rested still retained its warmth and heat. I moved my head slightly, voluntarily lifted my head, freeing Shang Xinxi's hand. Sorry. Shang Xinxi withdrew her hand. Her expression somehow showed a hint of panic. Sorry for disturbing your rest. Even she thought this reaction was strange. It wasn't her fault. It's okay. I shook my head with a bit of sleepiness. My eyes fell on her. My gaze traced her features inch by inch. Then I smiled softly. I really like the scent of cedar too. Almost all of Fang Yuan's perfumes have cedar in them. I'm truly obsessed with the smell of cedar. I even gave Bai Ningbing a few bottles of perfume with cedar base notes. But Bai Ningbing never used them. But the scent on Shang Xinxi confirmed my taste even more. My nostrils fluttered slightly. The dimples at the corners of my mouth appeared faintly. My expression was both het pie and a bit helpless. I have a bottle of perfume that would suit you perfectly, but I didn't bring it today. I'll have someone send it to you another day. Can I give it to you? Shang Xinxi looked at me intently. It was also then that she noticed how special my eyes were. They were actually blue. She was silent for a long time, then forced herself to look away, lowered her voice and asked, Fang Yuan, do you often give gifts to people? Det. She herself didn't know why she asked that, regretted it as soon as the words left her mouth, but what she was thinking didn't show on her face at all. I tilted my head, my gaze swept over her slightly red earlobes, moved a little closer to her. No, but Miss Shang's looks and temperament really met that perfume. I had it custom-made, only one bottle. Do you want it? Shang Xinxi didn't give a clear answer earlier, so I asked again this time. Time ticked by second. Hong Lian, driving in the front, clearly felt the atmosphere in the car was off, but she was smart enough not to say a word. After a long time, Shang Xinxi finally managed to control her lips. The smile that was about to overflow nodded slightly. I want it. Then it settled. I squinted and pressed the window button. Looking at the scenery outside, my energy was coming back. I was feeling much better now, not as uncomfortable as before. Hong Lian drove for a while longer, then reminded us, the big shot has arrived. As soon as she finished speaking, she stopped the car at a fork in the road. Two cars were already waiting there. As soon as I got out, I saw a boy in denim overalls rush over and jump up, wrapping his arm around Hong Lian's neck. Hey, you Hong Lian, how dare you not come pick me up? Hong Lian, who was being choked, immediately yelled, Sister Ci, help. As soon as the words Sister Ci came out, the boy holding Hong Lian's neck immediately let go and stood up straight. Seeing that the tyrant from the Shang family was getting out of the car, he quickly put on a flattering, cheeky smile. Sister Ci, long time no see. Shang Xinxi glanced at him coldly, said nothing, but just that look made Xia Lin shiver. Since childhood, Xia Lin had been fearless, could even argue with his own mother, but he was inherently afraid of Shang Xinxi. If he had known that today's party would have Shang Xinxi showing up, he would have found 800 excuses to get out of it. But wasn't it said earlier that Shang Xinxi wasn't coming? Why did she suddenly show up? He shrank his shoulders, was about to hide behind someone else, but as he moved, he saw another person who had just gotten out of the car. Xia Lin stared at me curiously and asked Hong Lian, I don't know him. Hong Lian nodded. He's not from Jiang City. Xia Lin immediately pressed. Then why is he here? Aren't our gatherings always just us who grew up together? What's a stranger doing here? Xia Lin's tone was clearly annoyed. Hong Lian glanced at him and patiently explained. His personality suits my taste. He'll probably be coming to our gatherings often from now on. Suits your taste? Xia Lin crossed his arms, looked me up and down again, then said with a smile, this face suits my taste too. Are you sure it's the personality you like, and not the face? Hey. Hong Lian grinned. Both are good. Both are good. No ambition, Xia Lin said with a tone of disappointment, then stopped talking. As I approached, Xia Lin even proactively reached out his hand to me. Hello, Xia Lin. I looked at his outstretched hand and smiled slightly, shook it. Hello, Fang Yuan. Seeing me smile, Xia Lin looked like he had discovered a new continent. They're actually blue eyes. Are all your family members blue-eyed? Is it genetic? They're so beautiful. She was so excited she gripped my hand a bit tightly, but my expression still didn't change much. I could tell Xia Lin didn't mean any harm. My mom and grandpa have them. It's genetic, I guess. I patiently answered Xia Lin's question. Earlier, Xia Lin was a bit resistant to me, an outsider crashing the party. But now, she seemed to be warming up to this handsome guy. She asked again, being all familiar. Do you have any sisters? I was about to respond. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. What are you talking about? That voice was way too cold. It gave me goosebumps. And Xia Lin, who was just making faces, heard that voice. It was Lai. Someone grabbed his throat. He choked up instantly. He turned around and gave the newcomer a fawning smile. Nothing much. What's there to talk about? You seem pretty interested. Hong Li lowered her eyes and glanced coldly at Xia Lin. She warned him coldly to watch his manners. Xia Lin sneered. I won't watch my manners. So what? Hong Li frowned, but there was nothing she could do about Xia Lin. Just as I was being left out, Shang Xinzi called out to Feng Yuan from not too far away. I followed the sound. I saw Shang Xinzi leaning against the SUV. She put her index and middle fingers together and crooked them at me, signaling me to come over. Honestly, it was a nice sight, but it felt like I was being called like a dog. I muttered to myself. I slowly walked over to her. Shang Xinzi stared at my moving lips. When I got close, she asked, "What did you just say?" I was stunned. Shang Xinzi's ears are that sharp? I didn't even speak out loud, but my little dilemma was already seen through by Shang Xinzi. She couldn't help but smile and slowly said, I saw your lips move, not heard it. I suddenly understood, so I hadn't actually made a sound. I turned and leaned against Shang Xinzi, looking up at the sun peeking through the gaps in the dark clouds. It was a bit dazzling, so I lowered my eyes to adjust. Then I replied, nothing much. If I let Shang Xinzi know what I was thinking just now, and she actually treated me like a dog, where would I put my face? My obviously dismissive answer. Shang Xinzi just listened. Then she asked me, Feng Yuan, are you feeling better after getting out of the car? Yeah, not too bad. Actually, after that cup of honey water and a nap, I felt much better. Now the motion sickness is kicking in, and breathing some fresh air makes me feel even less carsick. Hearing me say that, Shang Xinzi's smile deepened. Neither of us said much. We just looked up at the sky together. In the distance, Xia Lin seemed to be upset by Hong Li. He ran off to complain to Hong Lian. On the way, he deliberately ran fast around Shang Xinzi and me. Something shameful was chasing him. My eyes fell on his face, which looked like he had been crying. Hong Lian was comforting him nearby. It reminded me of when I first returned to the country. I felt out of place with everything around me. Even though I could speak Chinese, my writing and speaking speed couldn't compare to kids my age. I often got stuck. It was probably that stubbornness. Back then, I really hated speaking in front of others, afraid of showing my shortcomings. But there was always a group of kids around me. They'd clamor to play with me. Maybe because I'm handsome. Even though I kept rejecting them with a cold face, they still patiently coaxed me and clung to me. When they noticed I spoke slowly, no one laughed at me. Instead, they all waited for me to finish. Later, they even practiced speaking speed with me. Gradually, after I got used to the environment, I really fit in. Although we all went our separate ways after graduation and lost touch. From then on, I've had a natural affinity for people with that kind of personality. Is this warm? Shang Xinzi silently thought about her own personality. Would Feng Yuan find it warm? The answer was definitely no. Except for Hong Lian. Almost everyone in the Jiang clan was afraid of her. She wasn't the type of person who made others feel warm. The wind blew in gusts. When everyone else had arrived, they started to get ready to leave. When dividing up the cars, Shang Xinzi asked me if I minded riding with her. Of course not. Shang Xinzi's looks are right there. How could I mind having such a beautiful woman as my driver? Hearing my answer, Shang Xinzi seemed relieved. She explained that Xia Lin wanted to ride in Hong Lian's passenger seat, and Hong Li was going with him too. If we both went, it would be too crowded, so I'll drive another car and take you. Anyway, there are enough cars, no need to all squeeze together. I nodded, but I still felt something was off. Aren't Xia Lin and Hong Lian just ordinary friends? Shang Xinzi shook her head. She stood behind me, watching me get into the car steadily. Only then did she close the passenger door. She got into the driver's seat and continued. Hong Lian and Xia Lin are engaged. I was a bit stunned. What about Hong Li? Xia Lin likes Hong Li. Shang Xinzi dropped a bombshell casually. I was completely confused. So the relationships between these people are more complicated than I thought. Shang Xinzi was driving and saw me wanting to ask but holding back. Clearly curious but not wanting to pry. So she took the initiative to explain. Hong Li has always seen Xia Lin as a younger brother. She spoiled Hong Li since they were kids. Actually, Hong Li is her father's illegitimate daughter. She's Hong Lian's half-sister. No wonder I thought they looked a bit alike. I asked thoughtfully. Does Hong Li know that Xia Lin likes her? She knows. Shang Xinzi nodded. If it weren't for Hong Lian's intervention, given Hong Li's status as an illegitimate daughter, she would never have been able to get close to Xia Lin. Then I understand. I had sorted out the relationships. I just didn't expect Hong Lian to be so understanding, to accept that her fiancé likes her own half-sister. If it were me, I definitely couldn't be that magnanimous. Shang Xinzi drove for about half an hour, seeing me staring blankly out the window. She casually asked, can you drive? I turned to look at her. I really didn't understand why she suddenly asked that, but I answered honestly. I have a license, but I don't drive much. I thought of something and asked suspiciously, you're not planning to let me drive, are you? Shang Xinzi didn't say anything. She just pulled the car over to the side of the road. Hong Lian's car happened to pass by. Seeing this, they rolled down the window and asked, Sister Ci, what's wrong? Shang Xinzi tilted her chin, signaling for them to go ahead. For some reason, Hong Lian instinctively looked at me, who was leaning on the passenger window. Seeing my innocent face, she couldn't figure anything out. Helpless, Hong Lian and the others had to drive off first. Once their car was far away, Shang Xinzi pulled out the car key, walked around to the passenger side, dangled the key in front of my eyes. You drive? I asked in disbelief. Are you serious? Aren't you afraid of dying? Shang Xinzi looked very relaxed. It's fine. There are no sharp turns on this road, and I'm here. What are you afraid of? Hearing this, I stared at her for a long time. Just when Shang Xinzi thought I wouldn't agree, I casually threw out 2 words that could choke someone. Afraid of dying. Shang Xinzi was speechless for a moment. She looked down at me taking the key, and my serious expression, a feeling of unprecedented happiness rose in her heart. Everything this person in front of her did seemed pleasing to her. Don't worry. With me here, you won't die. It's not you I don't trust. It's myself I don't trust. I said that, but I was already opening the door and jumping out, eager to try, not resisting at all. The Fong family is very particular about my safety, so they usually have the best driver take me around. I once mustered up the courage to try, but on my first time on the road, I crashed the front of the car badly, so the Fong family doesn't lie me driving myself anymore. Later, I also asked Bai Ningbing to teach me, but Bai Ningbing thought we had a driver at home, and if it really came down to it, he said I didn't need to learn at all. In the end, that matter just fizzled out. Now, a bit nervous, I gripped the steering wheel and stared straight ahead. My expression directly made Shang Xinzi laugh. Left foot on the clutch, right foot on the gas. Remember? Her voice couldn't hide her smile. I glanced at her. I know. It's not lie, I don't even know that. Shang Xinxi said casually. Then let's go. The car I was driving was a manual, so after starting, I only dared to creep along in first gear. Luckily, the road was just lie, Shang Xinxi said. No sharp turns and no other cars passing by. All the way, Shang Xinxi quietly accompanied me. Only when I veered off course, she gently held the steering wheel to help me correct it. Once I was stable, Shang Xinxi handed the steering wheel back to me completely, and she patiently explained how to control the direction. Her voice was slow and gentle, with a faint smile. Lie, she thought my inability to drive was particularly cute. A smile lingered on her lips. Time passed minute by minute, until I was no longer satisfied with the slow speed of first gear. I stepped on the gas and smoothly shifted gears. Only then did she continue. Just get the feel for it. You'll get used to it after driving more. I let out a long breath, feeling a bit proud for no reason. It's actually pretty simple. Without a familiar person nervously watching nearby, and no one throwing a series of commands at me, making me flustered, even though my nerves were still tense. My mood was really much lighter. Shang Xinxi's gaze fell on my eyes. Then she looked away. She generously praised me. Because you're smart. I turned to look at her, and suddenly fell into the tenderness hidden in her eyes. I was stunned for a second. The next second, I quickly looked away. As if I hadn't noticed anything, I said, thanks for the compliment. With Shang Xinxi's guidance, my driving got smoother and smoother. When we encountered a car ahead, Shang Xinxi quietly reminded me to honk the horn. After that, she said again, left turn signal, upshift, change lanes, overtake, then right turn signal. I listened and followed with my hands. After one round, the car in front was left behind. As expected of me, I squinted my eyes with a hint of pride. Shang Xinxi didn't rush to burst my bubble. After the excitement of my first overtaking passed, she added a calm man calmly. Not everyone on the road will heal. In those situations, trek the road conditions more, then overtake in one go. Oh, cool. I readily agreed. After that, I drove noticeably more skillfully, but by the time we arrived, the others had actually been there for over half an hour. I felt a bit sorry. I got out of the car and was about to apologize to everyone who was watching. Shang Xinxi had already stood beside me. Let's go. Her voice was flat. But the group that had arrived early immediately became well behaved. In their circle, friends are friends. But if you don't know some basic manners, it's not acceptable. Seeing this scene, I realized Shang Xinxi's status in the Jiang clan was even higher than I thought. On my second day at the Jiang clan, Mu Xingyu had already sent me the information about the various factions in the Jiang clan. Just lie what ordinary people Lai Xia Chen know. The Jiang clan's Shang surname alone is enough to make no one dare to mess with them. But beyond what ordinary people know, Shang Xinxi's personal status far outweighs the weight of the Shang surname. He is the one who truly no one dares to offend in the Shang family. To reach the height he is at now, Shang Xinxi contributed the most. But Shang Xinxi is Shang Xinxi. I am still me. I walked over to Hong Lian and the others. I grinned apologetically at everyone. Sorry about that. I was driving on the way. My skills are a bit rusty. I wasted time and made you all wait. Oh, it's nothing. Hong Lian waved her hand casually. Even if you were half an hour later, who would dare to complain? Anyway, you have Shang Xinxi with you. Who would dare to nag? Although Hong Lian didn't say it directly, I knew in my heart. It was all because of Shang Xinxi's face. I apologized again to everyone. Then Xia Lin pulled me aside. When Xia Lin pulled me, I clearly felt a chill on the back of my neck. He quickly pulled me away. He dragged me to the swing set about 10 meters away. Only then did Xia Lin let go. He pointed to the swing. Then Xia Lin pushed off with his foot. The swing started to sway. Seeing me still staring at the pink climbing roses covered in vines not far away, Xia Lin asked, do you like roses? I nodded. I like anything that looks good. No particular preference for any variety. You do look quite handsome. Xia Lin grinned. Since I'm complimenting you so much, tell me, what's your relationship with Sister Ci? The swing I had just started swaying suddenly stopped. Then I pretended nothing was wrong and continued swinging. Why are you suddenly asking that? Xia Lin stared at me curiously. Because you're the first person of the opposite sex Sister Ci has treated specially. The first, I raised an eyebrow. With Shang Xinxi's looks, I thought she wouldn't be short of admirers. Surprising, right? Xia Lin blinked. I was surprised too. As he said this, his eyes were glued to me. Xiao Yuan, how did you manage to win her over? He asked. Obviously, he had already decided that Fang Yuan's relationship with Shang Xinxi was unusual. After all, in Xia Lin's understanding, Shang Xinxi's personality was cold, slow to warm up, which was understandable. But simply put, she was hard to get along with. These people either relied on the face of their elders at home to get a chance to be in front of Shang Xinxi, or they tried every means to please her, and barely became friends with her. And Fang Yuan, based on the news he got from Hong Lian, had only met Shang Xinxi once. Today was the second time, only the second meeting. Yet Shang Xinxi attended a gathering she originally didn't plan to come to, and even acted as Fang Yuan's driver. Not to mention Xia Lin himself, even Hong Lian and the others probably had never ridden in a car driven by Shang Xinxi. Fang Yuan was handsome, but just being handsome wasn't enough to make Shang Xinxi act like this. After all, there were plenty of guys more stunning than Fang Yuan around Shang Xinxi. Winning her over, I looked sideways at Shang Xinxi not far away, puzzled. Her side profile was cold and bright, beautiful enough to make people jealous. She seemed to sense my gaze. She turned her head slightly and looked back at me. When our eyes met, I didn't avoid it. Instead, I raised an eyebrow at her and gave a mischievous smile. But my words were directed at Xia Lin. Why do I need to win her over? Can't it be that she wants to win me over? Combined with Hong Lian's reactions, I'm not stupid. Of course, I could tell that Shang Xinxi had some interest in me. Xia Lin was stunned. Are you serious? His tone was too serious. It made me laugh. Just kidding. For now, I really don't have any thoughts about your sister Ci. Don't overthink it. Seeing my calm expression, Xia Lin got a bit anxious. You totally could. I was just asking. Pure curiosity. No other meaning. I have someone I lie. It's Hong Li, you know, the one who interrupted our conversation earlier. He was afraid I would misunderstand that his persistent questioning was because he liked Shang Xinxi, afraid of messing up Shang Xinxi's chances. He quickly spilled everything about having a crush. I comforted him. I know. Don't worry. What exactly did Shang Xinxi do to scare people like that? With my current understanding of Shang Xinxi, I really couldn't guess. Seeing that I truly believed him, Xia Lin breathed a sigh of relief. Then he leaned in again. Oh, right. You haven't answered my question from earlier. Do you have any brothers? I shook my head. No. Just a few cousins. Do they have blue eyes? Xia Lin continued to press. If Fang Yuan's cousins had blue eyes, he would really consider giving up on Hong Li, who told her to always give him the cold shoulder. Thinking about this, Xia Lin's expression deflated a bit. No, I shook my head with a smile. But they're all quite pretty. How pretty? Prettier than Sister Ci? Xia Lin's eyes lit up. He stopped swinging the swing and looked at me expectantly. I thought about it. Not exactly. They're different types. Pretty. Do you have any photos? Xia Lin could barely contain himself. He was about to stand up. I do. Do you want to see? Det. Who wouldn't want to see a beautiful woman? Unless they have a screw loose. Xia Lin immediately abandoned his swing, staring intently at my phone. I pulled up the photos. He exclaimed as he looked, his voice getting louder and louder, making Hong Lian and the others keep turning their heads. Oh my god. How can you be so beautiful? Hong Lian stood up and scratched her ear. What are Feng Yuan and Xie Lin looking at? That's not lie him at all. Hong Lian looked at Hong Li. Why don't you go check it out? Hong Li's face was already cold. When she heard Hong Lian's words, her aura was practically freezing. She gave a light snort and said flatly, what does it have to do with me? Hong Lian sneered and twitched the corner of her mouth. She directly bumped Hong Li's shoulder and quickly walked towards us. You better be able to stay stubborn forever. Anyone with a bit of insight could tell that Hong Li had feelings for Xie Lin, but she was stubbornly refusing to admit it. Luckily, Xie Lin was patient enough and was still willing to put up with her. Hong Lian took a few steps towards me. Only then did she realize there was someone following her. Hong Lian turned around and bumped into Shang Xinxi's deep, unfathomable eyes. Her scalp tightened and she gave an awkward laugh. Sister Xi is curious too. Shang Xinxi hummed in agreement and also walked towards me and Xie Lin. Big eyes, big abs. She has all that too. It's just that she usually wears loose clothes, so it's not obvious. They say the early bird gets the worm. I don't know why they're not interested in her. Instead, they're studying someone else. Thinking this, Shang Xinxi actually started to consider whether to invite me to the beach next time to swim, so I could see how nigh her abs were. Thinking and walking, she was already in front of us. A shadow fell over us. Xie Lin was excitedly flipping through photos. His hand trembled. Oh no, he thought. Before he could even land, he already knew who it was without looking up. The chilly gaze from above almost scared him into a sweat. He tried to explain. Sister Hong Lian. At this moment, Xie Lin wished he could dig a hole and hide. His expression was just lion ostrich, wanting to bury his head in the sand. Hong Lian wanted to laugh when she saw it, but she was afraid of making him more embarrassed, so she took the initiative to change the subject. What are you looking at? Before Xie Lin could answer, I calmly said, nothing much. I directly closed the album right in front of them and put my phone away. Xie Lin was truly impressed. He silently vowed that from now on, Feng Yuan was his AI do, his one and only god. Where did he get the guts to lie in front of Shang Xinxi? And without a hint of guilt, Xie Lin quickly hid behind me, thinking, with Shang Xinxi treating Feng Yuan so specially, he probably won't suffer at Feng Yuan's hands. I have to say, this time Xie Lin really felt he had found the most reliable backing. Just as he hid behind me, Shang Xinxi actually shifted her gaze away from him. Hong Li, I'm looking for you. As soon as she said this, Xie Lin immediately felt pardoned. He quickly got up and ran off to find her. Before he could even finish his sentence, he was already far away. I couldn't help but twitch the corner of my mouth. I leaned sideways against the swing and looked up at Shang Xinxi. You scared Xie Lin away. Who will swing with me now? Sister Ci will swing with you. Hong Lian chimed in. Our Sister Ci loves swinging. I winked at Shang Xinxi. My blue eyes were full of teasing smiles. Shang Xinxi looked a bit helpless. This person was clearly trying to flirt with her on purpose. All his little schemes were written on his face, without any restraint. He was sure she would play along. Her eyes met mine, but she kept a distance that was just comfortable for me. She asked with a half smile, do you lie playing that much? I had a bad idea in mind. I opened my eyes sharply. Yeah, both of them spoke with double meanings. Their little gestures were full of teasing, but both pretended not to understand, playing dumb to the end. Hong Lian grinned and watched us for a long time. He said cheerfully, then you two take your time. I'll go check on how the food's coming. Actually, when the food came out, he didn't need to worry about it at all. The chefs only started cooking when everyone arrived. He was just making an excuse, so we could have some time alone. Hong Lian walked far away. Shang Xinxi also stood up straight, and the shadow over her withdrew. I still lazily leaned on the swing, not planning to move. Shang Xinxi wasn't in a hurry either. She just stood quietly nearby, occasionally letting her gaze fall on me, but seeing me staring blankly at the scenery ahead, she didn't disturb me. The air was filled with various floral scents, drifting over with the breeze. My eyes slowly lost focus. I just emptied my mind like that, enjoying the rare peace, until Hong Lian called us for dinner. I reluctantly got up and followed Shang Xinxi over. Xiao Yuan, Xie Lin waved at me. Fresh seafood. Come quick. I walked over and sat next to him. Xie Lin immediately placed the peeled seafood in front of me. Just say what you lie. I'll get it for you. After that little incident earlier, Xie Lin had decided to be friends with Feng Yuan. Oh cool. I used a small dish to grab a few of my favorite lobsters and crabs, then handed it to the chef across the table. Please. Sure, wait a moment. The chef took the dish and skillfully started processing the shrimp and crab for me. Just then, Hong Lian finished grilling a skewer of meat and handed it to Shang Xinxi. Fresh off the grill, Shang Xinxi took it, but didn't eat it right away. Instead, she walked over to me, skewer in hand, and sat down to ask, any dietary restrictions? Not really any specific restrictions, just can't handle the gamey taste of meat. But I love eating meat. Can I try one skewer first? The cooking at home removes the gamey taste well, but outside places often miss the mark, so I rarely eat meat outside. But these two skewers of yours look and smell really good. I'm craving them. My eyes were glued to your hands earlier. Seeing Feng Yuan staring intently at the meat skewers in her hand, Shang Xinxi couldn't hold back a smile. She picked one from each of the 3 types of skewers and handed them to me. I was about to take a bite when Shang Xinxi reached out and stopped my hand, reminding me, careful, it's hot. I nodded, but couldn't resist blowing on it just twice before eagerly taking a bite. As I bit down, I was already prepared to drink water and swallow if it was gamey. But unexpectedly, this golden brown meat had no gamey smell at all. Instead, my mouth was full of meaty fragrance, and the hot juices burst in my mouth. I gave a thumbs up, my eyes lighting up. Delicious. That was lamb I just ate. There's still a bit of lamb's gamey taste, but the seasoning is well balanced, so I barely notice it. Glad you like it. Eat more. Shang Xinxi added 3 more skewers to my bowl. Eat them while they're hot. Fresh off the grill tastes best. She actually wanted to give me all the rest, but was afraid I'd eat too slowly and they'd get cold. My mouth was non-stop. I couldn't even spare a word. The chef's peeled seafood was also served, so I got even busier. Throughout this meal, I barely spoke, just buried my head in eating. Several times, Hong Lian looked at the skewers in the trash can in front of me, hesitating to speak, but afraid saying something would embarrass me. He secretly leaned close to Shang Xinxi's ear and whispered, is it really okay for him to eat this much? Feng Yuan has eaten almost 40 skewers of meat, right? Each piece on those skewers is about half a thumb size. He's also eaten over a dozen seafood items, not to mention the rest. Won't his stomach burst? Shang Xinxi was actually a bit worried too, but seeing that my expression showed no discomfort, she didn't stop me. Finally, watching my eating frenzy, everyone around was both worried and amazed. I finally stopped, wiped my hands, and cleaned up. Looking up, Hong Lian was still staring at me in SOC. What's wrong? You're the most eating man I've ever seen. Xie Lin quickly chimed in. I can eat at most 10 of these lamb skewers and I'm full. Xiao Yuan, you're such a big eater. He meant it sincerely, his eyes full of admiration and envy, as if being able to eat a lot was a great skill. I was speechless, wiping my forehead. I didn't eat anything at lunch. Besides, tonight's food really hit the spot. These past few days in Zhong's, I haven't found a restaurant that suits my taste. This meal finally let me indulge. I looked at them curiously. You guys weren't full, were you? No. Xie Lin waved his hands repeatedly. Definitely full. Not just full, but stuffed. Probably because I ate so heartily. Everyone at the table ate much more than usual tonight, especially Xie Lin himself. He nearly ate himself into a food coma. Xiao Yuan, want to take a walk? I need to move around. I'm too stuffed. Sure, I nodded. And as I left, I didn't forget to take the leftover cherries to cut the grease. Watching the two of us walk away together, Hong Lian couldn't help muttering, "Where does Feng Yuan put all that meat he eats?" Shang Xinzi glanced at him. "If you can't keep your mouth shut, don't talk." Feng Yuan actually didn't eat that much. He's just a lot more relaxed. The nose circle had constantly watched figures. Under the night sky, a few sparse stars hung in the sky. Rows of cars drove into Zhang City area and soon dispersed. Until finally, only Shang Xinzi's off-road vehicle remained on the road. In the passenger seat, I was sleeping soundly, head tilted to the side, occasionally mumbling and shifting positions because the posture was uncomfortable. My hair covered my eyes, but it didn't really matter. Shang Xinzi turned her head to sneak a peek at me. She kept slowing down the car, wishing the road could be longer and slower. Shang Xinzi, I mumbled, half awake. Drive faster. I'm dead tired. I want to go back to the hotel and sleep some more. If you can't, let me drive. I was so dismissive of her, which instead amused her. She immediately sped up and headed toward the hotel. 10 minutes later, the car stopped. I stretched and let out a big yawn, yawning a few times before getting out. "I had someone buy you a glass of hawthorn juice." Shang Xinzi walked over, taking a bag from a person at the door and handing it to me. "Don't be greedy. Drink half a glass. Too much will upset your stomach." "Got it, Miss Shang." I nodded, holding the bag. "I'm heading up first. Text me when you get home to let me know you're safe. Bye." With that, I waved and walked briskly into the hotel until my figure completely disappeared through the lobby door. Shang Xinzi turned and got back into her car to leave. A few days later, in a dark, damp basement somewhere in Zhang's echoed hoarse, "Weak, please." The iron door at the entrance was pushed open from outside. The person guarding there quickly handed over gloves that had been prepared. The mastermind behind this hasn't been found out yet, but everything those people photographed has been cleaned up. "How many photos?" Shang Xinzi's eyes were slightly downcast, with faint red bloodshot hiding the coldness in her gaze. When she spoke, her voice was chillingly tense. Kai Kuan handed over the phone. "They're all recent candid shots of Mr. Feng. The security at that hotel is pretty good, so those people haven't had a chance to infiltrate yet." Shang Xinzi took the phone and flipped through the photos one by one. When she saw the picture of me looking delighted while eating something delicious, with my brows relaxed, the corner of her mouth lifted almost imperceptibly, but thinking that these photos were taken by those people using dirty methods. The warmth on Shang Xinzi's face slowly faded, replaced by coldness in her brows. She patiently deleted every photo one by one, making sure no trace was left, before asking Kai Kuan about the mastermind. "Have you found out?" "It's Xiao Yanran, the eldest daughter of the Xiao family's younger generation." That day, Mr. Feng went to the bar to have fun, and Xiao Yanran happened to be there. Xiao Yanran is very promiscuous. Mr. Feng is good looking, so it's not surprising she set her sights on him. It has nothing to do with Xiao Yuan's looks, Shang Xinzi said as she walked toward the room at the end of the corridor, her face dark as ice. She had people follow and secretly photograph Xiao Yuan, purely because she's a scumbag. Kai Kuan was silent for a moment, then thought Shang Xinzi was absolutely right. She entered the room and personally interrogated the people still soaking in water again, making sure no details were missed. Then she took off her gloves and tossed them on the ground. As the gloves hit the floor with a faint sound, a drop of blood on them slid down. Shang Xinzi ignored the miserable cries behind her, turned, and left. She handed over what those people had done, along with the evidence. In a society governed by law, of course, we handle things according to the law. The rest will be dealt with by the authorities. Oh, and make time for old Master Xiao to come see me. If his family won't discipline their own, I'll do it for him. Understood. Kai Kuan followed closely behind her. The night was quiet, but undercurrents surged. I, however, slept exceptionally soundly that night. The next day, half asleep, I stayed curled up in bed for a long time, still unable to open my eyes, so I just wrapped the blanket tightly around myself until my phone kept vibrating. I forced myself to wake up, head aching. I fumbled around for a long time before finally grabbing my phone, which I tossed somewhere. Squinting, I answered. Feng Wantong was a bit surprised. "Still sleeping?" "It's already noon back home." I let out a big yawn. "I slept too well last night. I just don't want to get up." Feng Wantong scolded me with a laugh, then continued, "I've had people in Zhang's keeping an eye on you, and I found out someone's been following you lately. As soon as I got this news, I had people look into their backgrounds." I hummed in acknowledgement. As long as she was still so concerned about me, it meant she'd already taken care of most of those things. But then, Feng Wantong's tone turned a bit serious. "The people following you the past couple of days suddenly all disappeared. My people just got word that they've been thrown into the police station." I widened my eyes. "It wasn't your people who did it." Feng Wantong's voice was stern. "Not me." I frowned. "If it wasn't Feng Wantong's people, then who could it be?" I thought for a moment, and a few familiar figures came to mind. Could it be? After waiting a while and not hearing me speak up, Feng Wantong also sensed something. She asked directly, "Do you know who it is?" I have some guesses. I didn't plan to hide it. "Feng Wantong," I answered directly. "Shang Xinzi and Hong Lian. They know me. I had dinner with them last night. But whether it was them who did this, I really can't say for sure. Why would they help you? Just because you're from the Feng family?" "I don't know." I thought for a moment and made up a random excuse. "Maybe Shang Xinzi wants to pursue me." There was an eerie silence on the other end of the phone. Feng Wantong thought seriously for a while, and also felt that this reason was actually somewhat plausible. But she asked again, "Then why Shang Xinzi and not Hong Lian?" This time it was my turn to be silent. After hesitating for a moment, I answered, "Maybe because Shang Xinzi is prettier. I couldn't just all the messy stuff that had these past few days of Feng Wantong." Could I? It would sound like I was bragging. I had to keep some things to myself. Shang Xinzi, that person, acts strangely, and her thoughts are hard to figure out. But she's also the head of the Shang family. Ordinary people can't afford to mess with her. Feng Wantong let out a long sigh. "Xiao Yuan, are you really planning to get involved with her? And what about Bai Ningbing? Have you really completely let go of him?" Feng Wantong thought that, given my nature, I wouldn't be able to move on from Bai Ningbing so quickly. Otherwise, why would I have run off to Zhang's? It was clearly just to hide, to wait until I'd completely gotten over my feelings for Bai Ningbing, and wouldn't soften and go back just because he occasionally played pitiful. But in Feng Wantong's view, this kind of thing absolutely shouldn't be used to fill and transfer. With another girl, another relationship. Sis, I immediately understood what she meant. I was both amused and exasperated. I broke up with him. It's not like he died. Besides, since Bai Ningbing did something to betray me, why should I be sad about losing him, or even hurt another innocent person for his sake? The way I was raised, it didn't teach me to pine over a cheating scumbag. So I need to emphasize to you, I am truly, completely done with him. Leaving Magic City was purely to change my environment. If I have to tie it to Bai Ningbing, at most it's just not wanting to give him another chance to pester me. You get what I mean? When I was with Bai Ningbing, I did give my heart and trust wholeheartedly. But since I've made up my mind to break up, I can cleanly take back what I gave. I'm not the type to drag things out. Alright, I understand. Hearing this, Feng Wantong was probably relieved inside. After all, Fang Yuan had always been honest with her, but thinking about Fang Yuan's dealings with Shang Xinzi, that relief just wouldn't settle. Compared to Bai Ningbing, Shang Xinzi was far more dangerous. No, not just compared to Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing's methods were on a completely different level from Shang Xinzi's. A flower grown in a greenhouse versus one struggling in a chaotic world. They're two different concepts. After calming down my always worried sister, I took the chance to say I was hungry and going to find food, then hung up. Once Fang Wantong's voice disappeared, the room was left with just my own breathing. I let out a long breath. Should I go ask Shang Xinzi and Hong Lian about this? Would it be too rash? But if I didn't ask, I'd still be thinking about it. As I thought, my hand had already subconsciously opened the chat with Hong Lian. I typed, "Hey, what are you doing? I have something to ask you." Hong Lian, with his messy bedhead, stared blankly at the message from Fang Yuan. What does the handsome guy want from me? He thought as he replied, "Just woke up. Ask away. If I can say it, I will." I got straight to the point. Someone's been following me lately, but today they're all gone. I want to ask if you helped me take care of it. Hong Lian immediately sat up straight, feeling alert. Someone dared to stop Fang Yuan. He frowned deeply. After thinking for a few seconds, he had already guessed that it was probably Shang Xinzi. It wasn't me. But I think it was Sister CI. Or even if it wasn't Sister CI, she can help you find out. Why don't you go ask her? I stared at Hong Lian's message, silent for a moment. Asking Shang Xinzi directly wasn't really a problem. After all, I was planning to anyway. I just asked Hong Lian first because he seemed more concerned. Thinking this, I was about to message Shang Xinzi when Hong Lin called. "Hey," I answered, and heard Hong Lian's voice. "So, here's the thing. Sister CI is probably pretty busy today, so she might not have time to reply to your message. I happen to be going to see her too, so why don't I just take you there?" I felt something was off about that. If Shang Xinzi was really busy, would she still have time for me? Thinking this, I voiced my doubt. Hong Lian slapped his forehead, looking like his brain hadn't booted up yet. He coughed twice. Sister CI is busy, but she'll definitely make time to see you. Then he carefully asked, "Not going?" The hint was too obvious. I played dumb and pretended not to notice. "Sure, then please come pick me up." Hong Lian achieved his gone, excitedly rushing to change clothes and head out. "I'll be right there." With that, he hung up. I stretched, pulled open the curtains, and stood there for 2 seconds, feeling the outside air, then turned and went to the bathroom to wash up. Knowing Hong Lian would be quick, I didn't bother to dress up. Sure enough, just as I finished changing, Hong Lian called to say he was downstairs. I didn't dawdle. I put on my shoes and went straight down. About half an hour later, Hong Lian's car drove into the Shang family's old mansion. The two ancient gates slowly opened, revealing a bluestone path wide enough for 3 cars to drive side by side. My gaze swept to both sides, seeing a row of winding pavilions stretching along the path. A cobblestone path followed the pavilions all the way to the end, which was the main residence of the Shang family. After parking, we still had to walk a bit. Along the way, I caught the faint scent of sandalwood several times. The Shang family's old heritage was indeed deep, whether it was the Fang family in Magic City or my own real family. Neither probably had the kind of long-established prosperity that the Shang family had. Arriving at the villa entrance, I saw an old man in Tang's suit embroidered with a fortune pattern, standing half-bent. Beside him knelt a woman in her 30s. I glanced at the two, curious, but didn't plan to meddle. Hong Lian, however, stopped in front of the old man and nodded. "Old Xiao." "Ah, it's little Hong Lian." Old Xiao forced a smile. "Here to see ACI? Det, I have some business with Sister CI." Hong Lian explained casually, his gaze also sweeping over Old Zhao's pale lips and the fine sweat on his nose. "I'll go in first." "Go ahead." Old Zhao's peripheral vision caught the boy standing next to Hong Lian, and he paused. He remembered that the Hong family's daughter usually only got close to Xia Lin, and rarely had other boys around. Whose young master is this? To be brought by Hong Lian to see Shang Xinzi, he must be someone important. Old Xiao was pondering Fang Yuan's identity, not noticing the dazed expression on his kneeling granddaughter's face. When she saw Fang Yuan's appearance, Xiao Yanran finally realized why Shang Xinzi had suddenly targeted the Xiao family. It was all for him, but she and Shang Xinzi had only met once. Why would Shang Xinzi back him up? Or was it Hong Lian who had taken a liking to him? Or was it actually Shang Xinzi who was interested? Thinking of this possibility, Xiao Yanran instinctively swallowed. Then she quietly tugged at Old Zhao's sleeve. "Grandpa, I think I know why Shang Xinzi went after our family." Old Xiao was anxious. "Tell me quickly." Meanwhile, Hong Lian led me to the living room entrance. He said quietly, "Wait here for a moment. I'll see what Sister CI is doing." Hong Lian didn't plan to bring Fang Yuan into the villa on his own. After all, many people came to the Shang family to discuss business with Shang Xinzi. He was afraid Fang Yuan might accidentally overhear some secrets that shouldn't be spread. Hong Lian entered the living room. After seeing the group of people sitting inside, he felt extremely grateful for his earlier decision. He nodded to the seated big shots, greeted them, and then walked over to Shang Xinzi. He whispered, "Fang Yuan wants to see you, so I brought him over. He's at the entrance now. Do you want to see him?" Shang Xinzi, who hadn't paid much attention to Hong Lian's arrival and was just looking down at documents, only slowly looked up at these words. Her gaze crossed the living room, landing on the jade screen at the entrance. The boy's figure was reflected on the screen by the light. Shang Xinzi handed the documents to Kai Kuan before speaking. "That's all for today." Dismissed in the Shang family, Shang Xinzi had the final say, no matter how far the discussions had gone, whether the problem was solved or not. Once Shang Xinzi said the word, no one dared to stay a moment longer. The people in the living room filed out. I kept a polite smile on my face, about to look away. When Shang Xinzi's figure appeared before me, she was playing with a red string in her hand, with a half-broken white jade thumb ring hanging from it. She came out of the living room, and the sunlight shone on the jade ring in her hand, making the already excellent jade appear even more crystal clear. But unfortunately, the ring was only half of its broken jade. "Mr. Fang." Shang Xinzi stopped 2 steps away from me, suppressing the urge to come closer, and said softly, "Sorry to keep you waiting." "No." I shook my head. "I came because I have something to ask you." Shang Xinzi made a gesture of invitation. "Come in first." I stepped forward, walking past Shang Xinzi into the living room. Seeing that Shang Xinzi actually lagged a step behind me, the faces of those preparing to leave showed curiosity. Someone couldn't help but whisper, "Who is this?" "Don't ask about things outside your duties." Shang Xinzi wasn't his mother. Let's go, let's go." The person who just asked wanted to explain, but when those sharp gazes swept over from the shadows, he just wanted to get out of there fast. The people at the entrance cleared out in no time. In the big living room, it was just me and Shang Xinzi, and Hong Lian, who had been lounging to the side. Shang Xinzi actually walked behind Fang Yuan. Hong Lian gave him a knowing, half-smiling look, then lazily said, "I'm still sleepy. I'm going back to sleep." As she spoke, she yawned, and staggered out of the room. Neither Shang Xinzi nor I stopped her. We saw her off. "Now, look at me and follow." Shang Xinzi spoke, turning towards another door. The living room is for seeing outsiders. I'll take you to the tea room. I walked beside her and said, I just came to confirm one thing with you. No need to go through all this trouble. I was planning to ask and then leave, but seeing Shang Xinxi's attitude, she clearly wasn't planning to let me leave so early. Sure enough, the next moment I heard Shang Xinxi say, it's no trouble. I have to properly entertain you. She paused, then added, my honored guest. She stressed the word my particularly heavily. I wonder if she did it on purpose. The rest of the walk was silent. After we passed through a small garden and entered the tea room next door, Shang Xinxi made a pleased gesture to me, then asked, what tea would you like? Any kind is fine. I sat across from Shang Xinxi, watching her skillfully start warming the cups and brewing tea. It was obvious she did this often. I watched her as she brewed the tea, decided I wasn't in a hurry anymore, so I propped my chin on my hand and watched with interest. She slowly finished brewing that pot of tea. Finally, she served it to me and said, enjoy. It's really fragrant. I picked up the teacup and took a gentle sip, then gave Shang Xinxi a thumbs up. Better than any tea I've ever had before. I often hang out in tea rooms too, but even in the fanciest tea houses, the tea those masters make isn't as good as this cup you personally handed me. I'm glad you like it. Shang Xinxi smiled as she watched me finish the tea, then thoughtfully refilled my cup. Only after that did she ask, what did you want to see me about? Getting down to business. I immediately dropped the playful attitude and said, I wanted to ask, those people who were following me, did you take care of them for me? Of course, asking this was just for confirmation. After all, in Jiang City, the only people I know with the ability to save you and Hong Lian. I already asked Hong Lian. She said it wasn't her, so that's why I came to ask you. I hadn't planned on rambling so much, but being stared at by Shang Xinxi's smiling eyes, I didn't know what to do. I inexplicably felt a bit guilty. Asking Hong Lian first instead of her had somehow become something I should reflect on. It was me. Shang Xinxi looked at me with a smile. When you came in just now, did you see the person kneeling at the door? He's the one who hired people to follow and secretly film you. Those people who were filming you, I've already sent them to the police station. Seeing my expression turn sour at the words secretly film, Shang Xinxi added, they were all just photos of you going out. I've taken care of it all. Don't worry. Thank you. I knew this thanks was a bit light. After thinking for a moment, I said, if there's anything you need my help with, as long as I can do it, I will definitely help you. Okay. Shang Xinxi agreed readily, not thinking for a second that I was bragging. Shang Xinxi checked the time and asked, have you had lunch yet? Not yet. Actually, I just woke up an hour and a half ago. Perfect timing. The house cook just finished making lunch. Shang Xinxi looked up and gestured to me. Let's go, Mr. Feng. When a woman says the words Mr. Feng, it carries a certain indescribable, ambiguous intimacy. I followed behind her. Without realizing it, I raised my hand to touch my slightly burning ear. I said softly, Shang Xinxi. Actually, you can just call me by my name, Feng Yuan. That's what my family and friends call me. Is that so? Shang Xinxi's footsteps paused. She stopped completely, lowered her head and looked straight at me. So in his heart, she was now considered his friend too. Her narrow, long eyes were filled with me, yet it felt like a predator locking onto its prey. After a moment, Shang Xinxi drawled softly, brother. I was stunned. I fought hard to suppress the urge to curl my lips into a smile. Damn mouth, don't embarrass me. I let out a soft breath, patted my burning face. This kind of subtle flirting skill is really easy to break through one's defenses. Shang Xinxi was nothing like Hong Lian said, that she had little contact with boys. Her every action was completely like a girl who was a veteran in the game of law. I muttered to myself, shifting my attention. The embarrassment from just now slowly faded away. Arriving at the dining room, there were already 4 or 5 dishes on the table. Shang Xinxi proactively pulled out a chair for me and said, Uncle Li is a true Jiang City native. These are all his signature dishes. Try them and see if they suit your taste. After speaking, Shang Xinxi also sat down. Seeing that I was still waiting for her, she smiled and said, go ahead, start eating. As soon as she finished, she picked up her chopsticks first. Only then did I start eating too. We didn't chat much during the meal, but I felt completely at ease. I couldn't have been more satisfied with this meal. Actually, it was impossible not to be satisfied. The crystal clear shrimp dumplings, with one bite, the shrimp burst with sweetness, crispness, and tenderness. I almost swallowed my tongue along with them. Seeing that today's guest brought by Shang Xinxi had enthusiastically eaten most of the dishes, when Uncle Li was clearing the tableware, he even specifically complimented me. You have a really good appetite, young man. I smiled and replied, thank you. Uncle Li, it was really delicious, just as good as the food my dad makes. Ever since discovering that his son at home could eat so much, Fong Chang started learning to cook himself. He did it just to see, during their rare times together, that satisfied look on Fong Yuan's face when eating something delicious. Hearing this, Uncle Li smiled and said, next time you come, tell Xinxi in advance what you like to eat. Let Xinxi tell me, and I'll make it specially for you. I nodded. Okay, thank you, Uncle. Receiving my response, Uncle Li left happily with a smile. Have you decided when next time will be? I was startled, looked up, and met Shang Xinxi's half-smiling expression. I propped my face on my hand and asked her, what? Afraid Uncle Li will be disappointed in you. Shang Xinxi's tone was indifferent. It was hard to tell whether she was serious or had a hidden meaning. My mind stirred slightly, and I suddenly said, whether Uncle Li gets disappointed doesn't depend on me. It depends on you. If President Shang invites me, then I'll come. After that day, the relationship between Shang Xinxi and I seemed to have some subtle change. It was hard to describe what the change was. Like a cup of warm water, calm on the surface. But when you reach out to touch the cup's wall, you realize it has already warmed your heart. Hong Lian saw it clearly. Every time she saw me, she would wink and make faces. Fong Yuan, Sister Si asked me again when you're coming to eat. Uncle Li learned a new dish. He's just waiting for you to be the judge. I would often smile and brush it off, saying I'd come when I had time another day. But Shang Xinxi never rushed me. She would just occasionally send a photo on WeChat. Maybe it was Uncle Li's freshly steamed shrimp dumplings. Maybe it was the new tea leaves that arrived at the tea room. Or maybe it was half a cup of coffee that accidentally made it into the frame on her desk. Under the photo, there were always just a few simple words. Fry today? No extra emojis. No deliberate acting cute. But precisely this kind of restrained, almost cold invitation made me unable to resist replying every time. What time? Xia Lin said I was done for. I said, what do you know? This is called politely accepting an invitation. Xia Lin let out a snort of laughter. Show me what polite looks like. Hong Lian invites you 10 times. You might go once just to save face. But when Sister Si calls, you're always on time. You call that polite? I was left speechless by her, so I just ignored her. But that little secret in my heart that had been exposed still annoyed me a bit. In mid-May, the weather in Jiang City started to get hot. That day, Shang Xinxi invited me to the seaside. She said a friend's newly opened outdoor restaurant was having its grand opening and asked her to come support it. She thought I had nothing to do alone in Jiang City anyway, so she brought me along. When I arrived, she was already waiting by the car. The May sunlight fell on her, making her misty blue dress glow with a soft light. She leaned against the car door, holding a cup of iced coffee in her hand. Seeing me walk over, she handed me the coffee. Honey yuzu iced coffee should be more suitable for summer than the lemon tea last time. I took the cup. The condensation on the cup's wall wet my hand. You have a really good memory. Shang Xinxi curved the corners of her mouth but didn't say anything. She just opened the passenger door for me. The restaurant was in a small white building by the sea, with floor-to-ceiling windows on 3 sides. Opening them, you could see the blue sea. The owner was a woman in her 30s, with big, wavy hair and a smile that crinkled her eyes. She was clearly an old friend of Shang Xinxi's. Oh, Xinxi, this is the first time you've brought someone to my place. The woman woman looked me over. Her eyes held a meaningful smile. A rare guest. Today's meal is on me. Zhang Xinxi gave her a faint glance. No need. Put it on my tab. Alright, put it on your tab. The woman smiled and walked away. Before leaving, she even winked at me. Eat up, handsome. Xinxi rarely treats anyone. I was a bit embarrassed by her words. I lowered my head and drank my coffee. Zhang Xinxi, however, looked completely normal. She picked up the menu and asked what I wanted to eat. You order. I'm not picky, she nodded. Skillfully ordered a few dishes. At the end, she added, no cilantro in any of the dishes. I was stunned. How did she know I don't eat cilantro? The question circled in my mind. But in the end, I didn't ask it out loud. Yet the warmth in my heart surged lie waves. One wave after another. We talked a lot during the meal. About how she grew up in Jiang City. About how nervous she was the first time her family elders took her to a business meeting. About why she liked to be alone in the tea room. I also told her about Magic City. About the Fong family elders who spoiled me. About how I was teased by classmates for speaking slowly when I was a kid. And how I gradually overcame it. Actually, when I first came back to the country, I really didn't fit in. I bit my straw and looked out the window at the sea. I couldn't keep up with conversations, and I wrote slowly. I always felt like an outsider. Zhang Xinxi listened quietly. Her gaze rested on my face, as gentle as the May wind. And then I just got used to it. I shrugged. Anyway, I had those friends with me. Slowly, it got better. She was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, Fong Yuan, you can have friends in Jiang City too. I looked up at her. Her eyes were very bright, as if hiding an entire sea. Lie me, she said. My visits to the Shang family's old mansion became noticeably more frequent. Sometimes it was to eat, sometimes just to sit in the tea room, drink the tea she brewed, watch her deal with those endless documents. When she was busy, I would stay quietly, browse the books on her bookshelf, or just lean by the window and soak up the sun. Uncle Li was always het pie to see me. He would constantly find new ways to cook delicious food for me. Hong Lian came occasionally too. When she came, she would drag Xia Lin along. The four of us would gather around a table to play cards. Xia Lin's card skills were terrible. He would lose every time and yell about it. Hong Lian would just laugh gloatingly beside him. Hong Lian also came occasionally, but when she came, she would just sit quietly to the side, her gaze occasionally falling on Xia Lin, then quickly looking away. Zhang Xinxi rarely played cards. She would just sit beside me and watch me play. Occasionally, when I hesitated, she would gently touch my arm, hinting at which card to play. Her fingers were very cu. When they touched me through the thin fabric of my clothes, it would always make my heart skip a beat. I don't know if she noticed, but I guessed she did. Because every time after touching me, the corners of her mouth would lift slightly, like a kid who had stolen some candy. In early June, I went back to Magic City. The weather on graduation day was beautiful. The sun bathed the entire campus in a golden light. I was wearing my graduation gown, took countless photos with my classmates. My face was sore from smiling. Fong Cheng and Yun Shu had come back from abroad specially. Fong Wantang also came. The whole family stood at the entrance of the auditorium watching me receive my diploma. Our Xiao Yuan has finally grown up. Yun Shu hugged me, her eyes a bit red. I smiled and patted her back. Mom, I'm just graduating. It's not like I'm going to war. It's different. Yun Shu sniffled. You're an adult now. Fong Cheng shook his head with a smile beside her, reached out and pulled his wife back to his side. Alright, don't cry. The kid is watching. After the ceremony, I accompanied them for a walk around the school. When we reached the library entrance, my phone vibrated. It was a message from Zhang Xinxi, a photo of the ever half-full coffee cup on her desk. In the background, you could vaguely see the sea outside the window. The caption was just 2 words, het pie graduation. I looked at that message. The corners of my mouth involuntarily lifted. Yun Shu glanced over from the side and asked meaningfully, who's that? A friend. I put my phone away, but the smile on my face just wouldn't hide. Yun Shu and Fong Cheng exchanged a look, but didn't ask further. But that night back at the hotel, Fong Wantang cornered me in my room. Xiao Yuan, tell me the truth. She crossed her arms and leaned against the door. What exactly is your relationship with that Zhang Xinxi? I was lying on the bed scrolling through my phone. I looked up at her. There's no relationship, just friends. Friends? Fong Wantang raised an eyebrow. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old? Her questioning made me a bit nervous. I sat up straight. What exactly are you trying to say? Fong Wantang was silent for a moment, then walked over and sat on the edge of the bed. Xiao Yuan, I'm not against you dating. Her tone was unusually serious. But Zhang Xinxi, I'll be honest with you. I checked her out. I didn't say anything. She took over the Shang family business at 18. At that time, the Shang family was in trouble inside and out. They were almost swallowed up. She carried it all on her own. In 3 years, she brought the Shang family to its current position. Fong Wantang looked at me. Do you know what that means? It means she's very capable, I said. It means she's deep and calculating and ruthless in her methods. Fong Wantang lowered her voice. Xiao Yuan, you're not the type to play mind games. I'm afraid you'll. Fong Wantang didn't finish, but her silence was the answer. I sighed and put my phone down. Sis, I know you mean well. I looked into her eyes. But have you ever thought maybe she doesn't need to use those tactics with me? Fong Wantang was stunned. I know what kind of person she is. I said, Hong Lian has told me about her. Xia Lin has too. I can see it for myself, but she has never used any of that on me. I paused, thinking back to these past days. Every bit of Zhang Xinxi's restraint and gentleness. If she really wanted to play games, she could have had me wrapped around her finger a long time ago. I smiled. But she didn't. She just waited for me. Fong Wantang was silent for a long time. Finally, she reached out and ruffled my hair. Her tone laced with a bit of resignation. Alright, as long as you know what you're doing. But I'm warning you now. If she dares to bully you, I don't care who she is. I'll still take care of her. I smiled and nodded. Got it. Go back to sleep now. After seeing her out, I lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Actually, I couldn't really say what Zhang Xinxi and I were now calling us friends, but friends don't think about each other every day. They don't smile uncontrollably when they see a message. They don't, when they can't sleep late at night, scroll through their chat history over and over. But calling us lovers, neither of us had broken that barrier. She just stayed there, neither too close nor too far, occasionally teasing me, then quickly pulling back, leaving me alone with my racing heart. I picked up my phone and looked at that het pie graduation message, thought for a long time, and finally replied, thank you. When I get back to Jiang City, I'll treat you to a meal. The message was sent, and within a minute, she replied, oh cool. I'll wait for you to come back to Jiang City. That day, Hong Lian said she would pick me up. But when I got to the airport, only Zhang Xinxi was there. Where's Hong Lian? I asked while putting my luggage in the trunk. She said she had something to do, so I came myself. Zhang Xinxi leaned against the car door, her gaze resting on me. What? Not het pie to see me? I was stunned by her question, then smiled. No, just a bit surprised. Surprised? About what? I paused, looking at her face, dazzling in the sunlight. Surprised that you came yourself. Zhang Xinxi curved the corners of her mouth but didn't say anything. She just opened the car door for me. On the way back, soft Neo Dyke was playing in the car. I leaned back in the passenger seat, chatting with her about the graduation ceremony, about Fong Cheng and Yun Shu, about Fong Wantong and her endless worries. She listened quietly, occasionally turning to look at me, her gaze as gentle as melted honey. Fong Yuan, halfway through the drive, she suddenly spoke. Have you ever thought about staying in Jiang City in the future? I was stunned and turned to look at her. Her profile in the afternoon light was incredibly soft, but her eyes were fixed straight ahead on the road, as if hiding something. I have thought about it, I said. Her fingers gripping the steering wheel tightened slightly, but I haven't decided yet. I interrupted her and smiled. It depends on the situation. Depends on what situation. I looked at her, deliberately drawing out my words. Depends on if anyone wants to keep me here. Zhang Xinzi was silent for a few seconds, then let out a soft laugh. The laugh was very light, but it tickled my heart like a feather. And if someone did want to keep you, she asked. I looked at her profile, suddenly felt my heartbeat quicken. Then it depends on how they asked that night. Zhang Xinzi took me to a very hidden private kitchen restaurant, tucked away deep in an old street. There wasn't even a sign at the entrance. If she hadn't led me, I would never have found it. The owner was an old man in his 60s, with white hair and a face full of wrinkles when he smiled. He was clearly very familiar with Zhang Xinzi. A CI, long time no see. The old man wiped a table while sizing me up. Oh, you brought a friend. Zhang Xinzi nodded. Uncle Chen, the usual. Coming right out, the old man smiled and went into the back kitchen. I sat on a greasy wooden stool, looking at the mottled walls and old furnishings around me. Couldn't help but ask, how do you know about a place like this? I used to come here a lot as a kid. Zhang Xinzi poured me a cup of tea. When my dad was still alive, he would bring me here every month. After he was gone, I started coming by myself. When she said the word dad, her tone was very calm, but I could still hear a hint of something hidden within. I didn't say anything, just picked up the teacup and took a sip. The tea was very bitter, but it had an indescribable lingering sweetness. The food came up quickly. All home-style dishes. Raised pork belly, steamed fish, stir-fried greens. They looked ordinary, but they were so delicious I couldn't stop eating. Is it good? Zhang Xinzi asked me. My mouth was full. I could only nod vigorously. She looked at me, her eyes curving into crescents. After dinner, we slowly walked back along the old street. The June evening breeze was a bit humid, sticking to the skin. The shops on the old street were still open. Warm yellow light spilled out from the cracks in the doors, casting patches of warm light on the ground. Fong Yuan, halfway through the walk, Zhang Xinzi suddenly stopped. I also stopped and turned to look at him. The street light was behind him, casting a long shadow. He stood there in that halo of light, quietly watching me. Something in his eyes was gently trembling. I want to keep you, he said. I was startled. Stay at Zhang's. He paused, as if he had made a huge decision, then added, stay by my side. The wind blew from the old street, messing up her hair. She didn't fix it. She just stared straight at me, waiting for my answer. I looked at her, at this woman who was usually as cold as ice, the one everyone in Zhang's was afraid to mess with. Now, standing under the dim streetlight, with cautious hope in her eyes, I suddenly smiled. Zhang Xinzi. I walked up to her, looking down at her. Do you know how long I've waited to hear that? She was stunned. I reached out and tucked her windblown hair behind her ear. Starting from the honey grapefruit lemon tea you gave me. I said, starting from when you let me practice driving in your car. Starting from when you only ever texted. Are you fry today? Her eyes gradually lit up. I kept wondering, when would you finally speak up? I smiled. If you hadn't spoken up soon, I might have had to say it first. Zhang Xinzi stared at me for a long time. So long I thought she wouldn't speak. Then she suddenly reached out and wrapped her arms around my waist, her face buried in my chest, her voice muffled. Fong Yuan. I lie you. I lowered my head, resting my chin on her hair. I know. She looked up and glared at me, but her eyes were a little red. I smiled, cupped her face, and gently kissed her forehead. I lie you too. The news that Zhang Xinzi and I were together spread through Zhang's friend circle the next day. Hong Lian looked like she knew it all along, as if to say, I told you so. Xiaolin was shocked. Sister Ci actually fell in love? The world has gone mad. The calmest ones were Kai Kuan and Hong Li. She just looked at me and said, treat her well. I said, oh Ku. As for Fong Wantong, I made a special call to report. There was a long silence on the other end. So long I thought the signal was lost. Brother, Fong Wantong's voice was a bit complicated. Xiao Yuan, have you really thought this through? I have. She's not simple. I know. She's only 3 years older than me. Fong Wantong paused, then finally sighed. Forget it, as long as you're het pie. But remember what I said. If she dares to bully you, you deal with her. I laughed and replied, got it. Just before hanging up, Fong Wantong suddenly said, Xiao Yuan, have you really let it go? I knew she was asking about Bingbing. Sis, I looked out the window at the azure sea. I let it go a long time ago. Really, those hurdles I once thought I'd never get over. Those wounds I thought would hurt forever. They've all quietly healed without me noticing. Maybe it started with the lemon tea Zhang Xinzi handed me. Maybe it started with her accompanying me to practice driving. Maybe it started with her saying under the streetlight, I want to keep you. Anyway, the name Bai Ningbing hasn't stirred any waves in my heart for a long time. To me now, she's just a thing of the past. In July, Zhang Xinzi took me to Nanshan. There's a very small temple on the mountain, hidden deep in the dense forest. You have to climb many steps to get there. I started panting halfway up. Zhang Xinzi, on the other hand, wasn't even flushed or out of breath. She even turned around to tease me. Fong Yuan, your stamina is really bad. I leaned on my knees and glared at her. You try climbing a mountain after being fed so many times in a month. She smiled and reached out her hand. I'll pull you. I put my hand in hers. She gave a strong tug, pulling me up several steps, pulling me along like that. We finally made it. The temple gate was small. It was a tiny temple with just one main hall and 2 side rooms. In the courtyard grew an old locust tree, its shade covering almost half the yard. An old monk sat under the tree drinking tea. When he saw us, he just nodded. Without saying a word, Zhang Xinzi led me into the main hall. She knelt before the Buddha statue, and I knelt too. She pressed her palms together, closed her eyes, and knelt quietly for a long time. I didn't know what she was praying for, but I also closed my eyes and silently made a wish in my heart. May she be safe and het pie. May we always walk together like this. When we came out of the temple, I asked her, what did you wish for? She looked at me and smiled. Not telling you. Why? It won't come true if I tell. I pouted. Then I'm not telling you mine either. She raised an eyebrow. You made a wish? What did you wish for? I imitated her, not telling you. She was stunned for a moment, then laughed out loud. She reached out and poked my forehead. Fong Yuan, you've learned to be bad. I took her hand, brought it to my lips, and kissed it. Learned it from you. At the end of August, I officially moved into the Shang family's old mansion. Shang Xinxi cleared out a room for me, right next to her bedroom. The window faced the back garden. Pushing it open, I could see the wall full of pink roses. When the wind blew, petals would drift in. Uncle Li was overjoyed. He specially cooked a whole table of dishes to celebrate. Hong Lian and Xia Lin also came. Hong Li even showed up, rare as it was, to join the fun. The 5 of us gathered around a big round table, eating with gusto. After dinner, Xia Lin dragged me to the yard to set off fireworks. Well, fireworks was just a fancy name for little sparklers, the kind you hold in your hand that sizzle and spark. Xia Lin ran around the yard with 2 in his hands, shouting, "Charge!" Hong Lian rolled her eyes beside him. Childish. Then she grabbed 2 herself and ran after him. Hong Li leaned against the porch, watching those 2, a rare smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. I stood next to her, also watching the mess around. Fang Yuan. Hong Li suddenly spoke. Thank you. I turned to look at her. She wasn't looking at me. Her eyes still fixed on Xia Lin and Hong Lian in the yard. Thank you for making Sister Xi the way she is now. She said she's much happier than before. I followed her gaze and saw Shang Xinxi, who had come out without me noticing. She was standing at the other end of the yard, quietly watching us. Moonlight fell on her, softening and cleansing her silhouette. No need to thank me, I said. She makes me very happy too. Hong Li glanced sideways at me, then gently nodded and said nothing more. I walked over to Shang Xinxi. Why did you come out? To watch you set off fireworks. She reached out and straightened my collar, which the wind had messed up. Are you cold? No. I took her hand in mine, interlacing our fingers. Shang Xinxi, thank you for keeping me. She looked up at me. Her eyes held moonlight, fireworks, and my reflection. No need to thank me, she said, her voice as light as the wind. You were willing to stay in September. I officially started working at Fang Wantong's branch of Zhang's corporation. My position was marketing assistant. It sounded impressive, but really, I was just a gopher. Still, I enjoyed it. I was busy from morning till night, happily occupied. Shang Xinxi would sometimes pick me up from work. She'd park her car across the street from the company, never rushing me, just waiting for me to come downstairs. Seeing her car, I'd jog over, open the door, and get in. What's for dinner? What I cook. Hearing that, she would smile, then start the car and take me to the supermarket for groceries. Honestly, her cooking was just average. She only knew a few dishes, but I always ate with great relish, which gave her a real sense of accomplishment. Once, I worked overtime until very late. It was almost 10 when I left the office. I thought she had already left, but when I walked out, her car was still in the usual spot. I ran over and opened the door. She was leaning back in the driver's seat, eyes closed, as if asleep. I didn't make a sound. I quietly sat down in the passenger seat, closed the door. The car was very quiet, with only the sound of her even breathing. The streetlight filtered through the car window, falling on her face, making her long eyelashes flutter slightly. I just watched her for a long time. Then she suddenly opened her eyes. What time is it? She asked, still groggy. Past 10. She was startled, then sat up straight, rubbing her eyes. How did I fall asleep? If you're tired, let's go home and sleep. I'll drive, I said. She looked at me, nodded, got out of the driver's seat, and walked around to the passenger side. I started the car and slowly drove towards the old mansion. Halfway there, she suddenly reached over and held my hand on the gear shift. Fang Yuan, next time you work late, let me know. I turned to look at her. She was watching the road ahead, her profile looking especially soft in the night. So I can bring you dinner, she said. Don't always eat takeout. I was stunned for a moment, then smiled. Okay. At the end of October, it rained in Jiang City. It wasn't a heavy rain, just a steady drizzle, but it lasted the whole day. I curled up in the tea room, holding the hot tea Shang Xinxi had made for me, staring blankly at the rain outside the window. Shang Xinxi sat across from me, a document in her hand, turning a page now and then. The tea room was very quiet, with only the sound of rain and the rustling of paper. Shang Xinxi, I suddenly called out. Do you ever regret it? She looked up at me. Regret what? Regret keeping me? I paused. I don't feel like I've brought you anything good. Instead, I've just made you worry more. She looked at me, her gaze incredibly gentle. Then she put down the document, stood up, and walked over. She knelt in front of me. Fang Yuan, she said, taking my hands. Do you know what I was like before? I shook my head. I used to hate rainy days, she said. When it rained, I felt like the whole city turned gray. I'd be alone in the tea room, listening to the rain, and I'd feel especially cold. She paused, then looked up at me. But now you're here, she said, and I don't feel cold anymore. I looked into her eyes, at my reflection in them, and suddenly my eyes reddened. Shang Xinxi, I love you. She was stunned for a moment, then smiled. She smiled like sunshine after rain. I love you too, she said. In December, Jiang City saw its first snow of winter. It wasn't heavy, just a thin layer on the rooftops, on the tree branches, painting the whole city a faint white. I stood by the tea room window, watching the snowflakes fall outside. Shang Xinxi came up behind me and wrapped her arms around me, resting her chin on my shoulder. Cold? No. She tightened her arms, holding me even closer. Fang Yuan, you know what? I never thought I would meet someone who would make me want to let down all my defenses. I didn't say anything. I just held her hand tighter. I used to think my life would always be like this, she said. Alone, handling business, drinking tea alone, watching the snow alone. Nothing would ever change. And I didn't need anything to change. She paused, her voice becoming very soft. Until I met you. I turned around to face her. There was a light in her eyes, my reflection, and something else I couldn't quite understand, but I knew what it was. It was love. It was wholehearted, unreserved love. I reached up and cupped her face. Shang Xinxi, I'll watch every snowfall with you from now on. She looked at me, her eyes slowly reddening. Then she smiled, a smile like sunshine after snow. Oku, she said. The next spring, I took Xinxi back to Magic City. Fang Cheng and Yun Shu had flown back from abroad specially. Fang Wantong also put aside all her work. The whole family was waiting neatly at the airport. Shang Xinxi didn't say a word the whole way there, but I held her hand and could feel her palms sweating. Nervous? I asked. She glanced at me but didn't say anything, but her eyes answered for her. I smiled, leaned close to her ear, and whispered, don't worry. My mom likes you. She was stunned. How do you know? I told her. When? The first time you went back for my graduation ceremony, I said. She asked me who I was chatting with. That made me smile so happily. So I told her. Shang Xinxi looked at me, her expression a bit complicated. Fang Yuan, did you plan this all along? I thought for a moment, then nodded seriously. She seemed to be amused by me. She reached out and poked my forehead. I took her hand, brought it to my lips, and kissed it. Let's go. Don't keep them waiting. When we walked out of the airport, I saw Yun Shu from afar, standing at the exit, craning her neck to look inside. The moment she saw us, her eyes lit up. She hurried over. Xinxi, she grabbed Shang Xinxi's hand. Finally meeting you. You're even more beautiful than in the photos. Shang Xinxi was startled by her enthusiasm, but quickly composed herself and smiled politely. Hello, auntie. Hello, I'm wonderful. Yun Shu held her hand and wouldn't let go. Come on, let's go home and eat. I had Lao Fong make all your favorite dishes. Shang Xinxi turned to look at me, a hint of pleading in her eyes. I smiled and shrugged, indicating I couldn't help, so she was dragged away by Yun Shu. Fong Cheng walked beside me and patted my shoulder. Not bad. What's not bad? Your taste. He looked at the two figures ahead, a note of emotion in his voice. This girl is much better than Bai Ningbing. I was stunned for a moment, then smiled. Dad, you know about Bai Ningbing too? I know, Feng Chang nodded. Your mom told me everything, but that's all in the past. Let's not talk about it. He paused, then patted my shoulder again. Treat her well from now on. I looked ahead at Shang Xinxi's back, watching her being pulled along by Yin Shu, a little flustered but trying her best to cooperate. The corners of my mouth lifted involuntarily. I know, that evening, Feng Chang personally cooked a huge table of dishes. Shang Xinxi sat next to me, her plate piled high with food Yin Shu kept giving her. It was almost like a small mountain. She looked at me, a bit overwhelmed. I signaled with my eyes for her to eat. If you don't eat, Mom will be unhappy. So she had to lower her head and eat bit by bit. Yun Shu sat beside her, watching with a beaming smile, asking every now and then, is it good? Shang Xinxi would nod and say, it's good. Fang Wantong sat across from us, eating while sizing up Shang Xinxi, a hint of scrutiny in her eyes. Shang Xinxi sensed it, looked up, and met her gaze. The two of them stared at each other for a few seconds, then both looked away at the same time. Under the table, I gently squeezed Shang Xinxi's hand. She turned to look at me, and I smiled at her. After dinner, Yun Shu pulled Shang Xinxi to the living room to chat. Feng Chang and Fang Wantong cleaned up. I went out to the balcony alone to get some air. Magic City's nights were much livelier than Jiang City's. Lights were everywhere. I leaned on the railing, looking at the flashing neon lights in the distance. Suddenly, it all felt a bit unreal. At this time last year, I was still heartbroken over Bai Ningbing, and had run off to Jiang City alone. Back then, I never imagined I would meet Shang Xinxi there, let alone have today. What are you thinking about? Fang Wantong's voice came from behind. I turned around and saw her walking over with 2 glasses of red wine. Nothing much. I took the wine she offered, just feeling a bit emotional. Fang Wantong stood beside me, also looking at the distant lights. Emotional about what? I paused. A year ago, I was still getting over a breakup. Now, I've brought someone home. Fang Wantong smiled but didn't say anything. We drank in silence for a while. Xiao Yuan, she suddenly spoke. Have you really thought this through? I turned to look at her. She wasn't looking at me, her eyes still fixed ahead. I've looked into Shang Xinxi. She said, she's indeed not simple. But what I found out doesn't matter. What matters is whether you're het pie with her. I nodded. I am. Then that's fine. She finally turned to look at me, a look of relief in her eyes. As long as you're het pie, I support you. I smiled, reached out, and hugged her. Thanks, sis. She patted my back, then pushed me away. Alright, that's enough mushy stuff. Go inside. Your mom is probably looking for you. I smiled and walked back to the living room. When Shang Xinxi saw me come in, her eyes visibly brightened. I walked over and sat down next to her. She quietly took my hand. Yun Shu watched from the side, her eyes crinkling into a smile. Xinxi, Yun Shu patted her hand. Magic City is your home now. Come anytime. Shang Xinxi was stunned for a moment, then gently nodded. Oh cool. That night, we stayed at the Fong family's old mansion. Lying in bed, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. I finally got up and walked to the balcony. Shang Xinxi somehow woke up too, and followed me out. Can't sleep? I leaned on the railing, looking at the stars. It feels a bit unreal. She stood beside me, also looking up at the stars. What feels unreal? Everything, I said. Meeting you, being together, bringing you home. It all feels like a dream. She was silent for a moment, then she reached out and gently pinched my cheek. Does it hurt? Det. Then it's not a dream. She looked into my eyes and smiled. Fang Yuan, this is real. I looked at her smiling face, at her gentle eyes in the moonlight, and I suddenly smiled. Yeah, I pulled her into my arms. It's real. We stayed in Magic City for a week. During that week, I took Xinxi to many places. The school I went to, the coffee shop I used to go to, the park where I played as a child. At every place, I would tell her the stories from there. I told her what happened here when I was little. She always listened quietly, occasionally asking a few questions, but most of the time, she just watched me. Her gaze as gentle as honey. On the day we left, Yun Shu saw us off at the airport. She held Shang Xinxi's hand and talked for a long time. I don't know what they talked about, but from Shang Xinxi's expression, she seemed to be listening very seriously. On the plane, I asked her, what did my mom say to you? Shang Xinxi glanced at me, a slight smile on her lips. Not telling you. Why? It's a secret. I pouted. She laughed and leaned on my shoulder. Fang Yuan, Your mom told me to take good care of you. I was stunned. She also said you've been spoiled since you were a child and might be a bit delicate, so she asked me to be patient with you. She also said if you bully me, I should tell her, and she'll deal with you. I couldn't help but laugh. What's wrong with my mom? Shang Xinxi looked up at me, a smile in her eyes. But don't worry, she said. I won't tell on you. Why not? Because. She paused, leaned close to my ear, and whispered, even if you bully me, I'm willing. I looked at her, at those eyes so close to mine, and my heart skipped a beat. Then I leaned in and kissed her. The plane cut through the clouds, and sunlight streamed in through the window, falling on us, warm. After returning to Jiang City, life returned to its usual rhythm. I went to work, she handled business. We had dinner together in the evenings. On weekends, we'd go to the tea room or find Hong Lian, and the others to play cards. It was as plain as plain water, but I savored every drop of it. Sometimes I think, if I hadn't gone to Jiang City back then, if I hadn't walked into that bar that day, if Shang Xinxi hadn't given me that extra look, what would my life be like now? It would probably be fine too, but it definitely wouldn't be as good as it is now. That night, we sat in the tea room. It was raining outside. I leaned on the sofa, and she leaned against me. We just stayed like that, quietly. Xinxi, will we always be like this? He looked up at me, a hint of a smile in his eyes. Do you want to stay like this forever? If you do, then let's. I looked down at him. Are you sure? She nodded. He reached out and touched my face. Fang Yuan, I'm never sure about anything, he said, but I'm sure about you. I looked into his eyes, at my reflection shining in them. Suddenly I smiled. Yeah, me too. She froze for a moment, then smiled too. A smile like sunshine after rain. The rain outside was still falling, pattering softly against the glass, making a faint, delicate sound. The tea room was warm and quiet, only the sound of our breathing. I pulled her closer. Shang Xinxi and I got our marriage certificate in Jiang City. We didn't throw a big banquet, just had a meal with both families. Fang Cheng and Yun Shu flew back from abroad. Fang Wantong came too. Hong Lin, Xia Lin, and the others all showed up. After dinner, we returned to the old house. Uncle Li set up a tea table in the courtyard, said it was a celebration. We all sat around, drinking tea, chatting, and stargazing. Xia Lin had too much to drink. He grabbed Hong Li and rambled a lot of nonsense. Hong Lian was bent over laughing beside them. Hong Li rarely kept her sea face. She just listened quietly, a faint, almost invisible smile on her lips. Shang Xinxi sat next to me, her hand in mine. Fang Yuan, do you regret it? I turned to look at her. Regret what? Regretting being with me. I looked into her eyes for a long time. Then I smiled. Shang Xinxi, my biggest regret is not meeting you sooner. She froze for a moment, then she smiled, a smile like the spring breeze. Me too. Moonlight fell on the courtyard, making everything soft and clean, mixed with the night breeze, mixed with the scent of flowers, mixed with the breath of the person beside me. I held her hand tighter. Xinxi, from now on, every day I'm here. She looked at me, her eyes slowly turned red. Oko, that night, we didn't go back to our room. We just sat in the courtyard watching the stars all night. She said she'd never seen such a beautiful starry sky. I said that's because before, you were always watching it alone. She didn't say anything, just leaned her head on my shoulder and held my hand tighter. I knew what she was thinking. I was thinking the same thing. Some people, if you meet too early, you miss out. Some people, if you meet too late, you regret it. But we were just right. Not too early, not too late. Just right to meet. Just right to fall in love. Just right to keep